Chapter 1290, This is Normal. They all belong to the elites of their sects, instilled from the very beginning of their cultivation with the notion of being irreconcilable with the demonic path. Throughout their growth in cultivation, many have either personally experienced or witnessed incidents involving the demonic path. Like the demon subjugation order several decades ago, many participated, heard of it, and firmly believed themselves to be righteous, with the mission of slaying demons and vanquishing devils. However, when Lu Changxing saw the youth disguised by Nangong merely shouting passionately in response, a strange feeling welled up in his heart. As a core formation immortal, Venerable Lingfeng's spiritual sense was extraordinary, and he naturally understood that most of the clan cultivators here were seasoned veterans. Thus, he didn't pay much attention to these people. If a war between the righteous and demonic paths truly broke out, would these clan cultivators even have the luxury to refuse? Besides, once war begins, it could also serve as a stepping stone for clan cultivators to rise in status. If you don't fight, someone else certainly will. But in the very next moment, boom, 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 another series of earth-shattering sounds erupted, making the entire secret realm quake violently as if an earthquake had struck. Venerable Lingfeng's face suddenly changed dramatically. Not just him, Chu Qingyi, Venerable Huxiao, and another core formation immortal all shared the same sudden, drastic change in expression, exchanging glances. Immediately, Venerable Lingfeng looked at everyone present and said, "Now that the demonic path cultivators are attacking, the matter of comprehending the heavenly monument will be postponed for the time being. First, you will retreat with me." Could the situation have taken a turn? Looking at the scene before him and the expressions of the four, Lu Changxing sensed that something was wrong. If the four great immortal sects had already laid down a heaven and earth net to trap and kill intruders, how could it have turned out like this? Indeed, the four great immortal sects could ensnare and slaughter by luring people in. But if the demonic path had sent people, they could also block the exits of the secret realm, trapping prey like turtles in a jar. Moreover, mixed within the group of present cultivators were a fair number of core formation experts from other countries. If this group colluded with the individuals outside, it would spell major trouble. In an instant, Lu Changxing became even more cautious. Sarch * than a fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Many of the cultivators present also began to sense that something was amiss. Yet, at this moment, no one dared to slack off or voice doubts. They all obediently followed Venerable Lingfeng's guidance. Moments later, Venerable Lingfeng summoned an array plate and formation flags, directing everyone to designated positions. He promptly commanded the disciples of the four great immortal sects to arrange themselves systematically, forming an overwhelming battle formation through tokens and secret techniques. Battle formation. Lu Changxing observed how the disciples of the four sects synchronized their auras until they exuded a force so powerful it seemed capable of swallowing rivers and mountains. It was clearly some kind of battle formation. The four sects' foundation establishment disciples had each formed their own formation. If they went all out, they might even hold their own against a core formation immortal. Damn it, this Venerable Lingfeng clearly knows there are demonic path core formation experts mixed in here. Lu Changxing thought to himself as he observed the strategic placements. The clan cultivators, including himself, were intentionally positioned out to the side. Meanwhile, the disciples of the four great immortal sects had taken the central and most fortified positions, their formations arranged in four directions. It was evident that Venerable Lingfeng was aware of the presence of foreign core formation experts among them but hadn't pinpointed their exact identities. If an unexpected situation really arises, I'll have no choice but to disguise myself as a core formation cultivator from another country. Lu Changxing murmured to himself, keeping an eye on the previously suspicious cultivators. By now, he was almost certain that the current chaos in the secret realm was connected to those individuals. Boom, 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 the secret realm trembled more intensely, nearly to the point of collapse, with the surrounding spiritual energy becoming increasingly chaotic. Venerable Immortal, may I ask if staying here poses any danger to us? If the demonic path is attacking, we are willing to contribute our efforts. A moment later, a bold clan cultivator couldn't contain himself, gritting his teeth and addressing Venerable Lingfeng. Outside the secret realm, Xianjian True Monarch is standing guard. It won't be long before these demonic path thieves are dealt with. Venerable Lingfeng replied calmly, his expression composed. Xianjian True Monarch. What? Xianjian True Monarch is actually standing guard outside the secret realm. Could all this commotion be Xianjian True Monarch engaged in a fight? Hearing this name, everyone gasped in surprise, their eyes filled with reverence and awe. Xianjian True Monarch, the ruler of the Jianghu country cultivation realm, the ocean-calming divine needle. No one would doubt the strength of this nascent soul true lord. Upon hearing that this true monarch was holding the line outside the secret realm, those who were previously anxious and fearful quickly felt reassured. Even Lu Changxing was taken aback by this revelation. Yet, deep in his heart, his worry only deepened. If Xianjian True Monarch had come to oversee the Tianyuan secret realm and had caused such an immense disturbance, it meant that the demonic path, or perhaps other factions, might also have a nascent soul true lord present. And for a demonic path true monarch to dare infiltrate the Jianghu country cultivation realm, they must be thoroughly prepared. The Tianyuan secret realm has drawn so many core formation immortals here. There must be some powerful force orchestrating this behind the scenes. Could it be this very faction? Lu Changxing couldn't believe that his first journey into a secret realm had turned into such an ordeal. Damn it, and I haven't even comprehended the great Dao insights from the heavenly monument yet. Thinking of his original purpose for coming here, Lu Changxing felt deeply frustrated. But given the current circumstances, he had no choice but to wait and see how events unfolded. Rumble, 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 the tremors of the secret realm grew increasingly violent, as if the entire earth were collapsing and crumbling. Just then. Boom! A deafening sound, like the sky shattering and the earth splitting, erupted. In an instant, the sky changed color, and thunder roared. No, the heavenly monument has collapsed. Someone cried out, looking toward the monument, their voice trembling with fear. They saw the towering heavenly monument, once standing like a mountain, now breaking apart under the tremors and crashing down catastrophically. Whoosh, 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 as the monument fell, a vast, ancient, gray-black mist roared upward like a gaping abyss, swallowing the boundless spiritual energy between heaven and earth. The sky resounded with thunderous roars, as if demons were shrieking and ghosts were wailing. Kill, kill, kill. I hate, I hate, I hate. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1291, The fierce wind howled, and an eerie, elusive sound echoed throughout heaven and earth, wailing mournfully. There were men, women, the elderly, the young, the voices were hoarse, piercing, somber, howling, sharp, and chilling to the core. At the same time, countless ghosts drifted out from the pitch-black aura, their faces twisted and terrifying, exuding boundless resentment. Not good. What is happening? How could there be so many ghosts suppressed beneath the Tianyuan secret realm? No, these are no longer ghosts, they're ghost cultivators. Venerable Lingfeng and Chu Qingyi, along with the others, turned pale upon witnessing the scene. They had long realized that the wordless monument was no ordinary object and deemed it the core of the secret realm. Thus, their plan was to exhaust all its opportunities and inheritances before attempting to break open the monument. But they hadn't expected the external battle beyond the secret realm to directly impact the monument, causing it to shatter and collapse. And beneath this monument was sealed such an enormous terror. Ghosts. Why are there so many ghosts? Everyone present turned pale upon seeing the spectacle. Outside the secret realm, demons and righteous forces were clashing, making it extremely dangerous for them to leave. Yet, if they stayed, facing so many ghosts, they feared they wouldn't survive either. Kill. 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 Ghosts charged toward the crowd's location. Venerable Huxiao reacted swiftly, slapping his spiritual pet bag to summon a massive, menacing white tiger with twin wings sprouting from its back. Roar! The white tiger let out a thunderous roar at the ghosts, the sound like rolling thunder creating infinite arcs of lightning. Instantly, ghost after ghost disintegrated, turning into gray mist carried away by the wind. It seems this white tiger has improved significantly compared to before. Lu Changxing had previously witnessed the power of Venerable Huxiao and this third-rank white tiger. Now, he noticed faint purple streams adorning the wings of the tiger. He realized the white tiger had made substantial progress after absorbing the thunderstorm crystal from the wind thunderhound. Immediately, Lu Changxing continued to keenly observe Nangong Meili and the previously suspicious cultivator. He had initially believed that most core formation cultivators from other countries had entered the Tianyuan secret realm seeking opportunities. But now, seeing Nangong Meili, this suspicious cultivator, and the appearance of nascent soul true lords outside, he doubted this was purely about chance. Lu Changxing suspected that a certain country or faction intended to invade Jianghu country by weakening its strength and morale through such means. "I'll go check the situation out," Venerable Huxiao said in his deep voice, riding his white tiger and flying toward the collapsed monument to investigate. "Kill! Kill! Kill!" Roar! As he moved, more and more ghosts emerged, attacking Venerable Huxiao. But these ghosts were at most at the Foundation establishment level, completely unfit to be opponents for Venerable Huxiao. He, just then, a sinister, cold laugh sounded from the void. A dark shadow suddenly appeared behind Venerable Huxiao, a jade-green ghostly claw reaching for his head. Sir the Nefire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Roar! Venerable Huxiao spun around abruptly, bellowing like a tiger king at the shadowy ghost. A platinum-colored chain appeared in his hand and swung fiercely at the ghostly figure. Boom! Before the ghost, a web of green flames seemed to ignite, blocking the assault of the chain, producing sounds like boiling water. A core formation ghost cultivator. Venerable Lingfeng, Chu Qingyi, and the others saw this and all grew grim. The appearance of one core formation ghost cultivator hinted at the possibility of a second, or even a third. If that happened, the Tianyuan secret realm might slip out of their control entirely. So this is a ghost cultivator. Lu Changxing gazed at the ghost battling Venerable Huxiao and narrowed his eyes. This was his first time witnessing what was called a ghost cultivator. From what he knew, ghost cultivators generally came in two forms. One form emerged when a cultivator died, and their soul was fortuitously preserved, giving birth to an undead spirit. The other form involved cultivators transforming themselves into ghost cultivators through cultivation techniques. But regardless of which form, ghost cultivators were almost entirely unlike their former selves, amounting to an entirely new existence. Things are looking rather dire now. Lu Changxing saw the endless gray energy engulfing the realm, saturating the space as though turning the entire secret realm into a ghostly abyss. Given how things stood, no one could tell how many core formation ghost cultivators might emerge from beneath the monument. There was even the possibility of a nascent soul ghost cultivator appearing, something that Lu Changxing wouldn't find surprising under such circumstances. At this moment, everyone present realized something terribly amiss, their faces tense and anxious, their eyes directed toward Venerable Lingfeng. "Everyone, attack with me. Suppress these ghosts." Venerable Lingfeng shouted decisively. With so many ghosts emerging in the Tianyuan secret realm, they had to be stopped at all costs. If this situation spiraled out of control and spread to the outside, it would ruin everything. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1292, Starfall Chessboard. As soon as he spoke, the chessboard in Venerable Lingfeng's hand soared into the sky, spinning above the firmament like a celestial curtain, its surface littered with falling black and white pieces. Buzz buzz buzz, black and white pieces landed, forming a profound and mysterious formation, even stirring the forces of heaven and earth within the secret realm. Lu Changxing recognized that this Lingfeng was a formation cultivator, capable of deploying formations with ease using magical treasures. Beside him, Chu Qingyi, her appearance cold and exquisitely beautiful, held her magical sword, emanating a peerless sword intent, and charged toward the nascent soul ghost cultivator grappling with Venerable Huxiao. The ghost cultivator, already no match for Venerable Huxiao, fell into a disastrous retreat in the face of Chu Qingjia's assault, shrieking in agony. Meanwhile, the last nascent soul immortal of the Wuxia sect rallied disciples of the four great immortal sects into a battle formation, consolidating terrifying bursts of magical attacks that blasted at the ghosts. Any ghost attempting to surge forth from beneath the stone tablet was obliterated, reduced to ashes in the face of such magical power. So this is the might of the immortal sects. Nascent soul immortals, truly terrifying. Cultivators from other factions and clan cultivators looked upon the unfolding scene with stunned expressions. Though many of them were Foundation establishment cultivators aside from Lu Changsheng and a select few, most had never witnessed a true nascent soul battle. Only through this fight did they glimpse the power of nascent soul immortals and starkly feel the insurmountable divide between Foundation establishment and nascent soul. No matter how peerless a genius one might be, it was difficult to bridge the chasm between great realms. It seems this battle formation has great potential. Lu Changsheng observed the techniques of the four great immortal sect disciples, murmuring inwardly. He discerned that their battle formation lacked both finesse and synergy. It was cobbled together using some kind of secret technique and magic artifacts as mediums. Were his own offspring to cultivate the 5 Elements Union Sutra and form a 5 Elements battle formation, its power would far outstrip this demonstration. As the ghosts were suppressed, the spine-chilling, piercing wails gradually diminished. Yet nascent soul ghost cultivators still emerged, charging toward Chu Qingyi and the others. However, these ghost cultivators posed no real threat to Chu Qingyi and the others. So terrifying. If not for the presence of the 4 nascent soul immortals, these ghost cultivators alone would destroy an entire nascent soul force. Someone spoke in a low voice, filled with lingering fear. No one had anticipated that what was meant to be an opportunity for fortune would turn into such a dire situation. Boom boom boom, boom boom boom, alongside the resounding cacophony of battle, the entire secret realm began to quake violently. The sky dome became shrouded in a gray-black haze, as if enveloped by the aura of decay and ruin. This is bad, the secret realm is collapsing. At this moment, Lu Changsheng noticed strands of ominous black cracks appearing across the sky, emanating a horrifying aura, and instantly realized that something was amiss. Under normal circumstances, even when a secret realm began breaking apart, the process would take a long period. At least several years, decades, or even centuries. Yet this secret realm was rapidly rotting and disintegrating. Not just Lu Changsheng, but Lingfeng, Chu Qingyi, and the others had noticed the change as well. Move. Everyone head to the exit immediately. Lingfeng's expression fluctuated between light and dark. Without hesitation, he shouted decisively. A collapsing secret realm might transport them out. But it might also drag them into the great void. CTH novel, F. Iyer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. For ordinary cultivators, entering the great void was certain death. Even nascent soul immortals would face near certain doom against the shadowy chaos within the great void. Jia jia jia. Suddenly, a low, eerie chuckle echoed out, causing all cultivators present to feel their hairs stand on end, their scalps tingling, and their chi blood surging uncontrollably. In an instant, the temperature in the surrounding air seemed to plummet, becoming bone-chillingly cold, as if they had plunged into an icy abyss. This isn't good. Be careful. Lingfeng, Chu Qingyi, and the others turned pale, their instincts screaming danger as alarm bells rang in their minds. Buzz, a blurry figure walked out of the shadows. He wore a white jade crown and a tattered, antiquated white Qilin flowing clouds robe. On his hands, face, and neck, any exposed parts of his skin, scarlet, grotesque hair could be seen sprouting in patches. What is this? Is this an Een corpse? Every cultivator present stared at the figure in horror, a palpable dread snaking through their hearts like they were teetering at the edge of an abyss, their backs pierced by icy needles, walking carefully across thin ice. This entity emanated an aura of unparalleled terror. Even Lu Changsheng felt his spine tingle and hair bristle, realizing that this figure was completely beyond comprehension, invincible. Jia jia jia, the figure's hollow, lifeless eyes gazed toward Chu Qingyi and Venerable Hu Xiao, unleashing two sinister beams of blood-red light, accompanied by his hauntingly deep and ominous laughter. The sound was suffocatingly oppressive and eerie, unsettling hearts and stirring chi blood wildly, almost causing many to faint on the spot. But before the laughter ceased, the figure materialized behind Venerable Wuxia without warning. His red-haired hand thrust out viciously. What? Venerable Wuxia's eyes widened as he felt the strike imbued with space force, trapping his body as if ensnared in quicksand, leaving him unable to escape. He had no choice but to mobilize his mana to form a magic barrier for defense. Boom! The towering and imposing Venerable Wuxia's expression shifted drastically as his spiritual power magic barrier shattered under the attack. His entire body was sent hurtling backward, crashing into the ground, forming a pit several meters wide, with dust and sand erupting into the air. At that moment, Chu Qingyi raised her magical sword, and a burst of radiant spiritual light exploded, her sword intent sharp as frost, fiercely slashing at the figure's shoulder. Clang! A resounding clash like metal striking metal echoed. The impact of Chu Qingyi's awe-inspiring strike against the red-haired figure's body seemed to leave no mark. Only his ancient and dilapidated qilin flowing clouds robe showed faint tears, exposing the densely red-haired flesh beneath. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1293. This, Chu Qingyi's cold and aloof expression suddenly changed. She was well aware of the power behind her sword strike. Even a third-order body-refining cultivator wouldn't dare take it head-on with their physical body. Yet the opponent was completely unscathed. Quickly leave the secret realm. Lingfeng Immortal's face was incredibly grim as he shouted loudly, both hands forming a gesture incantation. Seen atop the sky dome's starfall chessboard, countless black and white pieces fell, seemingly aiming to seal and intercept the red-haired figure. The other clan cultivators and disciples of the four great immortal sects dared not hesitate or dilly-dally at this moment. Understanding that such a level of combat was far beyond their strength, they could only flee in desperation. Lu Chongqing saw this, and without the slightest hesitation, joined the large crowd in their retreat. Interesting, truly interesting. At this moment, a young man suddenly chuckled lightly. I didn't expect this Tianyuan secret realm to produce such changes. It seems this situation must have caught the four great immortal sects of Jianghu country off guard in their plans to take control, wouldn't you agree? In that case, I don't mind tossing another fire into the chaos. After speaking, the youth's momentum surged violently, his physique glowing with dark light, radiating a powerful and astonishing magical aura. Holding a small black arrow in his hand, he shot it abruptly towards Lingfeng Immortal, who was preparing a formation, creating a sharp and ear-piercing whistle. Nearby, the Wuxia sect Immortal responded promptly, throwing a small seal-like magical treasure to defend against the attack aimed at Lingfeng Immortal. Demon Cultivator. The surrounding cultivators were immediately horrified, their faces drastically changing. Many clan cultivators instantly activated talismans and magic artifacts, frantically fleeing toward other directions and the secret realm's entrance. The hunt begins. At that moment, a scrawny old man suddenly let out a sinister laugh, his momentum rising sky-high, transforming into a towering and fearsome burly man standing over 2 meters tall. Whoosh, 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 nascent soul-level magical power erupted astonishingly as a layer of pitch-black radiance shimmered around his figure. Within the black light, there seemed to be a dreadful demon lying dormant, faintly visible, spreading and enveloping everything around. This was none other than the law domain of a nascent soul cultivator. The cultivators trapped within the law domain were immediately rendered powerless, letting out only a single, blood-curdling scream. Faintly visible amidst the domain's darkness were grim demons ripping humans into 2 halves, with blood splattering everywhere. The other cultivators witnessing this sight became ashen-faced as they saw their fellow Foundation establishment cultivators, who had been traveling with them just moments earlier, falling victim to such a cruel death. But at that moment, not a single person dared to stay and confront the nascent soul demon cultivator. They hurriedly executed secret techniques, flying with all haste toward the secret realm's entrance. The gap between foundation establishment and nascent soul cultivators was as wide as an uncrossable chasm. Although joining forces might offer an opportunity, no one wanted to be the first to step forward and take the initiative to lead the charge. Moreover, at this moment, the focus was solely on escaping. They need not outrun a nascent soul immortal, just other cultivators. You demonic scoundrels, courting death. Lingfeng Immortal's expression was ghastly as he witnessed the scene. The plan of the four great immortal sects was to use the Tianyuan secret realm to trap enemies in the heaven and earth net, annihilating rival nation cultivators. They had even observed forces secretly intensifying the situation, trying to take advantage of the opportunity to lure bigger prey. Who would have thought the Tianyuan secret realm would suffer such unexpected changes, causing the situation to spiral out of their control? If the clan cultivators and sect disciples incurred severe losses, the entire Jianghu country cultivation realm would face great injury, leaving them ill-equipped to handle future wars within the cultivation world. Boom! The red-haired figure broke free from the constraints of the formation, its massive, flaming hands smashing onto the chessboard formation, causing Lingfeng Immortal's blood and qi to surge. His face turned pale. Demonic path seeks death. Tiger divine transformation. Venerable Hu Xiao, who had just been struck into a deep pit by the red-haired figure, leaped upward once again. His face was pale, blood seeping from the corners of his mouth. Clearly, he hadn't fared well from the earlier attack. But given the present situation, he knew he had to stabilize the battlefield. With a thunderous roar, his massive and towering body grew even larger, and a spectral white tiger coiled around him. Above the sky dome, the third-rank white tiger roared mightily, merging with him. Shit, looks like the four great immortal sects really messed up. It's true, often walking by the river, there's no way your shoes stay dry. Lu Changxing watched this unfold and immediately realized the four great immortal sects had overstepped. If it were merely two demon path nascent souls, the problem wouldn't be too severe. But that red-haired figure? Even the combined efforts of Lingfeng Immortal, Venerable Hu Xiao, Chu Qingyi, and the Wuxia sect's nascent soul might not be enough to counter it. And besides, there might be other demonic path nascent souls mixed in here. Lu Changxing strongly suspected that among the crowd of cultivators, aside from Nangong Meili, there were other demon path nascent souls hiding. These nascent souls, however, might genuinely be here for the secret realm, unconnected to the earlier pair. Swoosh! At this moment, a handsome young man suddenly attacked Lu Changxing. A torrent of magical power, like a spirit snake, coiled toward him. Lu Changxing's eyes narrowed slightly as his purple flying shuttle shot into the air. He cast a talisman in his hand, neutralizing the magic power, and feigned ignorance, asking, Daoist, may I know how I've offended you? Humph. The young man merely snorted coldly, continuing his assault on Lu Changxing. His attack was initially a probe, but as his aura intensified, nascent soul-level magical power surged outward in an overwhelming wave. Shit, another nascent soul immortal. Damn it, why are there so many nascent souls? Run, hurry. Wait, isn't that Lu Changxing from Bihu Mountain? Did he offend this nascent soul immortal? The surrounding cultivators saw this and turned pale, scrambling to get away to avoid being dragged into the conflict. Among those retreating, a few cultivators from the Qingyun region who knew of Lu Changxing stared with disbelief and surprise. Someone like Jin Zan, seeing the situation, felt a rush of excitement and hope, silently wishing for Lu Changxing to be killed by the nascent soul immortal. Since you want to play, then I'll humor you. The novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changxing saw through the young man's disguise as Nangong Meili, laughing faintly in his heart. He retrieved and activated a third-rank escape talisman from his storage ring, transforming into a streak of light that shot away in another direction. Trying to flee. Nangong Meili snorted lightly and rushed after Lu Changxing, her figure also becoming a streak of light headed in his direction. Using the misty sky bead to keep her true identity concealed, she didn't unleash her full strength, opting to remain at the initial stage of core formation in cultivation and magical power. But even so, her power was more than sufficient to deal with Lu Changxing. However, she remained cautious despite her superiority. During her year in Jianghu country, she had been keeping tabs on Lu Changxing's information, knowing full well he was far from ordinary. What? Is that a third-rank talisman? Someone witnessed Lu Changxing's action and cried out in surprise. Third-rank talismans were known to be rare and precious, and Lu Changxing's use of one in a dire situation seemed extremely lavish to those observing. Even though this mountain lord Lu is a third-rank talisman master, escaping the pursuit of a nascent soul immortal is no simple feat. A third-rank talisman master could hold their own against a false core immortal to some extent, but against a nascent soul immortal? It's definitely a dead end. This mountain lord Lu is quite something. To think he'd managed to provoke a nascent soul immortal. Not daring to linger further, the watching crowd frantically rushed toward the secret realm's exit. Moments later, Lu Changxing arrived at the edge of the secret realm, halting his movement. His green robe fluttered in the wind as he stood with his hands behind his back. Looking at Nangong Meili approaching, a faint smile played on his lips as he said, "Meili, we haven't met for years, but I've missed you greatly." Nangong Meili froze in her tracks, shocked that Lu Changxing had recognized her. The Misty Sky bead was renowned for its incredible disguise capabilities, even most nascent souls couldn't pierce through its effect. She said nothing, her vigilance rising as she cast a purple magical hand from afar, which surged with mist-like energy and came crashing toward Lu Changxing. At this moment, the 9 treasures Rui Bone glimmered on Lu Changxing's chest, releasing core formation stage magical power. Within the depths of his Qi ocean core, the golden core Dao foundation resting in the elixir lake slowly ascended, forming an invisible aura around his body that rendered the purple magical hand powerless. How is this possible? Nangong Meili's expression turned to one of disbelief, her heart churning with monumental shock as she struggled to comprehend the development. She vividly remembered Lu Changxing only being at the initial stage of foundation establishment back then, barely managing to advance to the mid-stage using her profound Yin Jade liquid. How many years had passed, and somehow had broken through to the core formation stage? Meili, do you hate me so much? They say one day as husband and wife is worth 100 days of gratitude. We shared years as a married couple, surely, we can sit down and talk things over calmly. How have you been all these years since? After our separation, did you encounter any dangers during your return to Jin Kingdom? Lu Changxing, with his handsome features and gentle voice, spoke with an elegant and composed demeanor. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1294, Nangong Meili faced Lu Changxing's warm and gentle gaze. Seeing his uncommonly handsome features, like a banished immortal descending to the mortal world, dressed in a flowing azure robe, elegant and poised, with a voice full of concern, her heart unexpectedly trembled, surfacing a trace of softness. Memories of that year surfaced in her mind, grievously injured and still unhealed, carrying her daughter Nangong Yaoyao, and traveling across the perilous Myriad Beasts mountain range with her disciple, Meng Xiaochan, to return to the Jin Kingdom. Even as a nascent soul immortal, the journey was fraught with endless dangers. However, it was thanks to Lu Changxing's Misty Sky bead. Without this Misty Sky bead, she and Meng Xiaochan might not have made it back safely. She recalled how, back then, when she was about to leave, Lu Changxing, to help her heal, voluntarily departed and even gifted her the Misty Sky bead, such an exotic treasure. Complicated emotions inexplicably surged within Nangong Meili's heart. Though he had humiliated and mistreated her in countless ways, he had shown her some kindness nonetheless. The next moment, Nangong Meili's heart suddenly halted, realizing something was amiss. What is going on? This scoundrel not only planted a goo on her and Xiao Chan but also humiliated and mistreated her extensively. How could such matters be forgiven so easily? Moreover, if he truly cared about her, would he have waited until now? Xiao Chan had been under the influence of the Lockhart goo for years. Had he ever shown a shred of concern for her? Scoundrel, prepare to die. Nangong Meili's phoenix eyes turned icy cold, and she shouted in a chilling voice. With her words, a purple jade flute appeared in her hand, poised at her lips. Since Lu Changxing had recognized her and with no one else around, she no longer concealed her strength. Unleashing her mid-nascent soul stage cultivation and magical power, she aimed to suppress Lu Changxing completely. Woo woo woo. At that moment, as she struck with all her might, the disguise from the misty sky bead was automatically undone, revealing a woman in her 30s with extraordinarily alluring and enchanting beauty. Her skin was flawless and snow-white, dressed in a luxurious purple gauze gown. Her figure was seductively lithe, with graceful curves, long legs, and a devilishly stunning physique, her beauty breathtaking to behold. As for her face, words like nation-toppling or exquisite fell short of encapsulating its splendor. It bore no flaws, as if sculpted with divine craftsmanship, mesmerizing beyond measure. Especially her enchanting and misty phoenix eyes, which exuded an intoxicating allure capable of captivating souls. Even Lu Changxing, despite his broad life experiences, felt a flash of astonishment in his eyes upon seeing Nangong Mili's visage. Aside from Yun Wanshang, Bai Ling, and Binger, the other wives and concubines at his residence could hardly rival Nangong Mili in beauty. Yet, when it came to such extraordinary appearances, charm and demeanor held greater importance. Nangong Mili, with every gesture and smile, radiated a sultry allure, brimming with seduction and unmatched grace. In an instant, a colossal purple sky spider phantom, spanning several meters, emerged and lunged toward Lu Changxing. Buzz! Lu Changxing gently patted his chi ocean core, and the formless treasure wheel appeared abruptly, spinning in his mind, emanating a faint golden glow that made him seem extraordinary. As the formless treasure wheel clashed with the spider's phantom, standing evenly against it, the 9 treasures Rui bone in Lu Changxing's chest surged with power. Boom! Instantly, a stunning burst of radiant light erupted forth, as if celestial energy flowed, with the sun, moon, and stars encircling him, elevating Lu Changxing's bearing to new heights, as though he were a true immortal walking amidst the mortal world. Mili, is your heart truly this ruthless? Do you hate me so much? If you kill me, how will you explain it when the child asks about her real father in the future? If she learns that her father was killed by her own mother, what will she think? Lu Changxing's voice was warm and unhurried, speaking gently. With the formless treasure wheel and protective divine light shielding him, Nangong Mili's attacks posed no threat to him. Frankly, while Nangong Mili was at the mid-nascent soul stage, her combat strength could only be considered average. What does it have to do with you? Nangong Mili's phoenix eyes flickered with icy anger as she heard Lu Changxing mention their daughter, her heart trembling slightly. She sneered inwardly, realizing that this scoundrel must have known about her pregnancy all along. Years ago, his sudden change in attitude toward her had to be because he'd discovered she was carrying his child. Before the child, you mistreated me relentlessly. Now that there's a child, you suddenly act tender and affectionate. Sar the novel, F. Iyer. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Nangong Mili felt a burst of irritation within her heart. Yet, at that moment, it was Lu Changxing's strength that shocked her even more. She hadn't expected him to not only break into core formation but also cultivate such divine skills that rendered him unaffected by her heavenly spider's soul-calling melody. Indeed, while her life-bound heavenly spider had perished, drastically reducing her skill's potency, Lu Changxing's composed demeanor was simply, "How can it have nothing to do with me? This is our child." Lu Changxing's figure was tall and graceful, his body emanating a divine glow, his expression earnest and affectionate as he continued, "How has Yao Yao been all these years?" Nangong Mili's heart trembled fiercely, a hint of panic flashing within her. She had always kept her daughter Yao Yao well protected, never letting her leave her side. Only after reaching Foundation establishment did Yao Yao insist on going to the marketplace, and Nangong Mili had reluctantly allowed it. How could Lu Changxing possibly know about Yao Yao's existence? How do you know about Yao Yao? Nangong Mili's demeanor became cold and enchanting, like a thorn poppy, her voice icy as she demanded. She had only intended to capture Lu Changxing and settle the grievances between them. But now, hearing him bring up her daughter Nangong Yao Yao, a deeper chill grew in her heart. "I have a divine skill. The day Yao Yao was born, I felt it in my heart and saw you name her. Lu Changsheng's eyes were full of guilt as he said, "It's a beautiful name. Meili, thank you for all you've endured over the years." This guilt was not feigned. Back then, upon realizing that Nangong Meili was pregnant, he harbored strong ulterior motives, hoping she would give birth to his child. Yet, all these years, he had never truly cared about the mother or daughter. "She's my daughter, she has nothing to do with you." Nangong Meili's phoenix eyes flashed with icy cruelty as she retorted sharply. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1295. In her early years, she was free from concerns. But ever since her daughter, Nangong Yao Yao, was born, she finally understood the meaning of attachment, the bond of bloodlines. Therefore, she would never allow anyone to hurt her daughter. Originally, she hesitated about whether to use the love gu on Lu Changsheng. Now, seeing Lu Changsheng trying to fight her for their daughter, her heart made a firm decision. She absolutely wouldn't let him influence or take away her daughter. "This is our daughter. Do you really want her to grow up without a father?" Lu Changsheng's divine light flowed over his body, transcendent and ethereal, and he continued speaking. "Woo woo woo," Nangong Meili said nothing, her face icy, fully focused on playing the sky spider melody, causing the phantom of the purple sky spider to grow more solid and immense. She then slapped her spiritual pet bag, summoning a purple sky spider into existence. However, this spider was only at the middle stage of the second rank, with limited combat effectiveness. It still couldn't breach Lu Changsheng's formless treasure wheel and protective divine light. "Meili, this secret realm has already begun collapsing. If you continue to stall, it will be dangerous for you to leave later. Whatever you need to address, we can talk about it after we leave." Lu Changsheng noticed that the subject of their daughter was a deep taboo for Nangong Meili, so he calmly attempted to soothe her. Such feelings seemed reasonable. The other party had voluntarily chosen to give birth to Nangong Yao Yao years ago, clearly showing how much she cared for this daughter. Now, decades later, her child's father showing up, it was natural for her to react strongly. Nonetheless, Nangong Meili remained silent, continuing to attack Lu Changsheng, sending out spirit snakes and gu insects one after the other. But Lu Changsheng could only shake his head. Inwardly, he thought Nangong Meili, this devil path true person, truly had mediocre combat strength. Even with her mid-stage core formation cultivation level, the spiritual beasts and gu insects at her disposal were only at the second rank. Whoosh! At that moment, Nangong Meili suddenly summoned an item resembling a purple jade butterfly hairpin. The hairpin appeared like a dreamlike butterfly spreading its wings, beautiful and enchanting, then collided with Lu Changsheng's protective divine light, causing slight damage. Sizzle! A red gu insect flew toward Lu Changsheng, radiating a crimson glow and breaking through his protective divine light. Lu Changsheng's heart subtly trembled, and the peach blossom gu in his brow's sea of consciousness suddenly roared excitedly. It seemed to signal to Lu Changsheng that if this gu insect came closer, it could suppress it entirely. This is a love gu. Back in the day, Lu Changsheng had prepared for the possibility of Nangong Meili trying to use tricks of this nature. Hence, he had spent some time studying them. But now, with his current strength, having awakened the Tai divine soul and wielding the formless treasure wheel, this gu insect would find it incredibly difficult to get close to him. Whoosh! Lu Changsheng's palm surged with yin-yang energies as he suddenly grasped forward, suppressing the gu insect and holding it in his hand. Then, with deep, serene eyes and a tranquil expression, he regarded Nangong Meili's exquisite and alluring face, speaking, "Meili, it's time to stop this nonsense. Given the circumstances, I don't have the luxury of indulging you further." Lu Changsheng held the love gu, his voice cold and indifferent. He felt a sense of guilt toward Nangong Meili and her daughter, willing to tolerate her unruly behavior and allow her some emotional release. But his tolerance had its limits. He couldn't perpetually indulge her folly. Upon realizing her strength couldn't suppress Lu Changsheng, Nangong Meili was already somewhat irritated. Now, Hearing these condescending and callous words from Lu Changsheng, a mix of anger and humiliation surged in her heart. She had fought him with all her might, yet in his eyes, it amounted to nothing more than folly. Yet, for some inexplicable reason, as she observed Lu Changsheng's imposing and commanding demeanor, an indescribable feeling stirred deep within her. Such love goo, don't use it again in the future. You might end up hurting yourself. Lu Changsheng said coldly, tossing the love goo back to Nangong Mili. Now that the peach blossom goo had advanced to the 3rd rank, it no longer required the love goo to bite him. It could directly overpower and take control instead. Yet Nangong Mili was already the mother of his child, so he disdained using such tactics just to make her submit to him. After all, the true essence and charm of Nangong Mili lay in her untamed spirit. If she were forced to submit through the effect of a love goo, would that still be the real Nangong Mili? Nangong Mili caught the love goo, her coldly captivating yet seductive features displaying anger, frustration, and a trace of complex emotions. Moments ago, the love goo had conveyed a message, revealing that within Lu Changsheng's body lay an immensely powerful goo insect's aura. If it bit him, it could trigger the insect's backlash. As a core formation cultivator from the 5 Poisons cult, she naturally understood what this meant. Realizing her disciple Meng Xiaochan might have encountered such backlash years ago, thus falling victim to the Lockhart goo. Yet Lu Changsheng clearly wielded the means to suppress her, and still, he chose to let her go. Nangong Mili gazed at the flawlessly graceful, transcendent Lu Changsheng before her. She thought of how, in earlier years, he had been merely a foundation establishment cultivator, someone she once dismissed without a second thought. And now, within just a few decades, he had risen to such incredible heights, filling her with frustration and unyielding bitterness. Enough. Let's head back. Whatever needs to be addressed, well, do so after we leave. Search * the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changsheng glanced at the crack spreading across the sky dome, softly addressing Nangong Mili, his tone slightly gentler. Nangong Mili's face flickered with indecision before she abruptly turned into a divine rainbow and shot out. She knew full well she was not a match for Lu Changsheng and couldn't suppress him. But to submit to Lu Changsheng right now, she absolutely refused. Lu Changsheng's brows furrowed slightly, his eyes revealing traces of cold irritation. This woman truly refused to listen to reason. If that's the case, Yin Yang Qi grasp. The formless treasure will behind Lu Changsheng's head shone brilliantly, spinning furiously. His 9 treasures Rui bones surged with power, causing his cultivation base aura to soar, and his mana roared as forceful as a raging river. In an instant, an exquisitely profound energy of Yin Yang Qi erupted like a dragon unleashed, sweeping toward Nangong Mili. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1296, Not Good. Nangong Mili turned her head to look back, her heart jolting in shock. She hadn't expected Lu Changsheng to have such divine skills. One must know, cultivating a single divine skill often takes years, sometimes even decades. No matter how extraordinary Lu Changsheng's talent might be, it shouldn't be possible for him to possess 2 divine skills of this caliber, right? Buzz. The Yin Yang Qi condensed into a clearly defined Yin Yang hand, its 5 fingers slightly curled, directly grasping Nangong Mili. Nangong Mili immediately felt a force as massive as mountains that locked her in place. The vigorous mana restricted her movements, even slowing her own, making it nearly impossible to break free. How is this possible? Her expression turned aghast, her heart surging with waves of shock and alarm. Lu Changsheng's rapid breakthrough from foundation establishment mid-stage to core formation in mere decades had already astonished her beyond measure. Moments ago, her inability to suppress Lu Changsheng could still be attributed to his meticulous cultivation and defensive divine skills, bolstered by supreme defense treasures. But now, this divine skill, with such vast and overwhelming mana, had surpassed even her mid-nascent soul stage cultivation. Even though she wasn't skilled in direct combat techniques, being effortlessly subdued and captured was downright implausible. What on earth is happening with him? Nangong Mili's heart reeled in terror. Lu Chengsheng's current state had thoroughly shattered her understanding. Not only had he broken through core formation so quickly, but he also wielded such immense mana and astonishing divine skills. Even possessing a supreme Daoist body shouldn't explain such extraordinary feats. Whoosh! The yin-yang handprint swiftly returned to hover before Lu Chengsheng. Mili, as your husband, I was simply trying to have a proper conversation with you. Why won't you listen? Lu Chengsheng looked at Nangong Mili, whose breathtaking beauty was tinged with bewildered suspicion, his expression calm and indifferent. As he spoke, he gently raised his hand, lifting her delicate, jade-like chin. His fingers felt the smooth, supple texture beneath them. Nangong Mili's dazzling, enchanting face froze slightly. Amidst her shock and dazed emotions, she found Lu Chengsheng's touch warm and pleasant, making her body feel slightly weak and giving rise to a subtle sense of closeness in her heart. She forcefully suppressed this sentiment, her expression vexed and her phoenix-like eyes icy cold as she angrily scolded in a low voice. Who said you are my husband? Stop calling me that. Sir, the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Though reduced to Lu Chengsheng's captive, for some reason, she didn't feel fear in her heart nor any strong urge to escape. Otherwise, she still had 3 life-saving goo insects in her possession, giving her a fair chance of breaking free and fleeing. Heh! Lu Chengsheng found Nangong Mili's defiant and furious demeanor somewhat amusing. His thumb slid from her exquisite chin to her soft and alluring rosy lips, gently grazing them. Their supple and smooth texture stirred a desire to taste them. Following through on this impulse, he leaned closer, lowering his head to claim those radiant and luscious petals as his own. A moment later, Nangong Mili's cheeks turned crimson, her expression as cold as ice. Through gritted teeth, she spat out, Lu Chengsheng, you bastard. You're only realizing that now? Lu Chengsheng replied coolly, noting that the resistance in her voice didn't seem as strong as before. If it were earlier, facing the yin-yang capture hand, she wouldn't have entirely abandoned her struggle. It appeared this woman was more responsive to hard tactics rather than soft words. Upon reflection, it made sense. Born into the demon path, Nangong Mili naturally lived by the principle of the weak submitting to the strong. Under these circumstances, conquering her wouldn't be achieved through solely gentleness. It required strength and decisive measures. Since you refuse to obediently listen to your husband, then you can remain here quietly for now. Under Nangong Mili's frosty gaze, Lu Chengsheng reached out and pinched her enchanting yet icy-cold face. Given the precarious situation in the secret realm, with potential battles between the righteous and the demonic forces, overseen by nascent soul true lords, Nangong Mili had become a significant liability. Rather than letting her roam freely, he decided to confine her within the formless treasure wheel for greater security. With that said, sealing divine light. From Lu Chengsheng's chest, the 9 treasures Rui Bone emitted a ray of 9-colored divine light, sealing Nangong Mili's cultivation and mana. A moment later, the formless treasure wheel behind his head whirled into motion, radiating dazzling brilliance as if ablaze. Its aura surged like a force capable of suppressing mountains and rivers, embodying a sense of weighty majesty over all domains. Swoosh, the formless domain swiftly encompassed Nangong Mili, pulling her inside. Considering that the formless domain was empty, Lu Chengsheng channeled his mana through the treasure wheel to conjure scenery teeming with birds and fragrant blossoms within. Once we exit, your husband will naturally release you. Lu Chengsheng spoke in a calm tone before retracting the formless treasure wheel. Then, the mana aura around him receded like the ebbing tide. Phew. A moment passed, and Lu Chengsheng exhaled deeply, releasing a stream of turbid energy. Though the exchange with Nangong Mili appeared effortless, composed, and serene throughout, maintaining such a facade required substantial effort, his mana had undoubtedly depleted significantly. Fortunately, with the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus supporting him as a second Dantian, the drain barely posed an issue. Otherwise, in his regular mana condition, given the complexities of the Tianyuan secret realm, Lu Chengsheng wouldn't dare to act so rashly. Swoosh! Without delay, Lu Changxing applied an illusion-formed talisman on himself, proceeding cautiously toward the exit of the secret realm. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1297, Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, Sun Moon Samsara Technique. The younger generation is truly formidable. Just as Lu Changxing was cautiously making his way toward the exit of the secret realm, a voice, ancient and full of the vicissitudes of time, echoed in his ears. Who? Lu Changxing's heart froze abruptly. He turned sharply, scanning all directions, unsure of where the voice originated. But he was certain someone had just transmitted their voice to him. Young man, do not be alarmed. I am Tianyuan True Monarch, come to me, inheritance. The ancient voice continued to resonate, seemingly crossing countless temporal eras, intermittently reaching Lu Changxing's mind. What? Tianyuan True Monarch. Lu Changxing was stunned. Had previously heard Xiao Xie give a brief explanation of the Tianyuan secret realm. He knew this secret realm was tied to the legendary great cultivator Tianyuan True Monarch from 8,000 years ago. The very name Tianyuan secret realm was derived from Tianyuan True Monarch by the four great immortal sects. Now, this voice claimed to be Tianyuan True Monarch and proclaimed that he had a chance of obtaining an inheritance. Something's off. Lu Changxing remained highly alert, completely skeptical of these words. 8,000 years. Forget nascent soul true lords, even deity of transformation beings would have turned to dust by now. And now you say you're Tianyuan True Monarch? I might as well claim him Emperor Qin Shi Huang. An inheritance might be enticing, but given how bizarre this secret realm was, Lu Changxing dared not take risks for such things. Especially since the recent anomaly in the secret realm had unleashed countless vengeful spirits and ghost cultivators. Lu Changxing suspected this voice might be one of those ghost cultivators trying to lure him. He ignored the voice immediately and cautiously continued toward the exit. You possess the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, and practicing the Sun Moon Samsara technique ties us by fate. Your talent is rarer than anything I've ever seen. You can inherit my legacy, the ancient voice persisted, intermittent and fleeting, even giving off an incredibly frail impression. This voice seems to originate from the direction of the celestial monument. Lu Changxing noticed the voice had become slightly clearer, directing his gaze toward the celestial monument, furrowing his brows. If the voice indeed came from the celestial monument, that was an even greater reason not to go. For that place was extraordinarily sinister. Should he encounter another of those red-haired figures like earlier, he might barely escape using the life-substituting talisman. Boom boom boom, just as Lu Changxing was nearing the secret realm's exit, he noticed three figures in the sky, Chu Qingyi, Venerable Huxiao, and True Person Lingfeng, continuing their joint efforts to intercept the red-haired figure. Their exertions were clear, as all three were giving their all. Not only had Venerable Huxiao performed the unification technique to drastically enhance his combat power, but Chu Qingyi and True Person Lingfeng had also deployed some kind of secret technique, their magic aura surging and shockingly powerful. Yet despite this, the trio remained no match for the red-haired figure. Under the relentless attacks of the red-haired figure, they were forced into retreat after retreat, only able to defend. Boom boom boom. The flowing cloud robe of the red-haired figure, patterned like a qilin, was in tatters, revealing its flesh covered with red hair, horrifying and eerie. It seemed the figure knew neither techniques nor magical powers, relying only on the raw strength of a physical body that had returned to its primal state. But every gesture and motion radiated a divine power as deep and impenetrable as an abyss, leaving True Person Lingfeng, who relied on formation suppression, pale-faced. The red-haired figure suddenly shifted, appearing beside Venerable Huxiao in an instant, raising its hand and sweeping forth with wind and ghost energy. Boom! The massive frame of Venerable Huxiao, akin to a small mountain, cracked noisily under the overpowering gale. Above him hovered a shadow of a giant white tiger, roaring and howling with astonishing ferocity. But moments later, the white tiger's shadow was mostly torn apart, and Venerable Huxiao's body flew like a cannonball before crashing to the ground, forming a giant crater. Hiss, even Lu Changxing felt his eyelid twitch at the sight. If not for Venerable Huxia's exceptionally resilient physical body and his use of such a beast-human unification secret technique, an ordinary core formation cultivator would not have survived that strike. Without intervening, Lu Changxing cautiously moved toward the secret realm's exit. At the exit, he noticed core formation cultivators from the Wuxia sect leading disciples of the four great immortal sects in defense, forming an intimidating formation. Sir the novel _fire. @ website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. As for the two demonic path true persons spotted earlier, they were nowhere to be seen. Most likely, the pair wouldn't dare confront the four great immortal sects head-on at this point. Yet, just as this thought crossed Lu Changxing's mind, he noticed a distant black arrow and a blood-red dagger suddenly strike toward true person Lingfeng. Clang! Chu Qingyi, with an exquisitely sculpted and commanding visage draped in a white sword robe, slashed forward fiercely. Waves of sword light surged out, intercepting both the black arrow and blood-red dagger. Her beautiful eyes filled with murderous intent as she glared toward the direction of the demonic path nascent soul cultivators, her voice icy. You demonic thieves are utterly disgraceful. Since you wish to send us to our deaths, then you must be prepared to pay the price. Chu Qingji's voice was cold and tinged with fury. The group was already struggling against the red-haired figure, barely holding their position. And under such dire circumstances, the two demonic path cultivators not only slaughtered numerous cultivators from Jianghu country but continually interfered with them, aiming to ensure their demise. Chu Qingji's heart burned with a deep and intense killing intent. These two bastards truly aren't afraid of ruining their schemes. Lu Changxing frowned slightly as he witnessed the scene, sensing Chu Qingji's profound anger and bloodlust through her words. It was understandable, the situation was truly suffocating for the four great immortal sects. If not for the presence of the red-haired figure, the two demonic path nascent soul cultivators would likely have been suppressed long ago. At that moment, Lu Changxing noticed Chu Qingji's azure magical sword emitting blinding brilliance, while a golden light, resembling a radiant sun, soared skyward from her body, piercing the clouds. Boom boom boom, suddenly, amidst the gray haze suffusing the sky dome, thunder surged. A ferocious, domineering energy visibly spread outward, enveloping this entire realm. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1298. Then, one after another, golden lightning pillars descended, sealing off everything in all directions. Even Lu Changxing felt a sense of danger in that instant. He realized it was some kind of life-risking divine ability, similar to his own yin-yang great mingling millstone. Finally feeling desperate. Trying to kill us is pure wishful thinking. Ia the Novelier. N.E.T. website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The two hidden demonic path nascent souls were not panicked, mocking and laughing coldly. They were very cautious, each possessing some kind of hidden magical treasures or divine abilities, making it difficult for others to pinpoint their exact location. Majestic heavenly might, drawn forth by the sword. Chu Qingji's robe fluttered, her expression indifferent, cold, and haughty, her high ponytail waving like an icy crystal phoenix. She raised the azure magical sword in her hand high. Suddenly, the sky dome swirled with residual clouds, endless thunder was drawn into her magical sword, bursting with resplendent divine light, slashing in a certain direction. Not good. In an instant, a black shadow appeared, letting out a piercing scream. This sword not only cut the physical body but also the soul. The moment he made a move, Chu Qingyi locked onto his aura. Boom boom boom, endless thunderous sword light descended from the sky, forming a sea of thunder, raging and roaring, as if divine punishment. This demonic path nascent soul went all out, black spiritual light surged, and he offered a black banner magical treasure, coiling around him, resisting the terrifying thunder punishment. Yin Luo, save me! He shouted loudly, calling for help from the other companion. But the other demonic path nascent soul saw that Chu Qingyi still had a sword prepared, not daring to show himself, concealing his aura. This demonic path nascent soul howled in agony, the magical treasure battered by thunderous sword light, his body charred and torn. Damn it. Chu Qingjia's face turned pale, billowing aura surged, failing to capture the other person's aura. But the sword in her hand had to be released at this moment, so she continued to slash towards the demonic path nascent soul, intending to sever him directly. At the same time, the nascent soul immortal from Wuxia sect also led the disciples of the four great immortal sects, forming a battle formation to take action, launching fearsome techniques. Boom boom boom. Sword light surged, wild winds swept, thunder roared, mana exploded chaotically, the power was terrifying. Fairy Qingyi, be careful. At this moment, the pale-faced Ling Feng immortal shouted at Chu Qingyi. A red-haired figure suddenly broke through a layer of array spirit divine light, instantly appearing behind Chu Qingyi, swinging a handful of terrifying red hair. At this time, Chu Qingyi, with almost depleted mana, couldn't respond in time. Puff! Chu Qingjia's tall and graceful body emitted a sound of bones cracking, then she spat out blood, her whole body flying backward like a broken kite. Kill! At this time, the previously hidden demonic path nascent soul saw this situation, suddenly launched his blood-colored flying dagger towards Chu Qingyi. He could tell that Chu Qingyi was now half-crippled, utterly defenseless. Damn it! Lu Changsheng, seeing this scene, clenched an illusion-formed talisman, fully activated the fate-defying robe, and dashed out gritting his teeth. Originally, he was unwilling to intervene in situations like this. But now the situation was urgent. After all, Chu Qingyi was Xiao Xia's senior sister, Yun Wanshang's disciple. If Yun Wanshang and Xiao Xia knew in the future that Chu Qingyi died in front of him, and he obviously had the power to save but didn't, he feared it would be a knot in his heart, even he couldn't face the two women. Boom! The formless treasure will appeared, spinning behind Lu Changsheng, making his entire body seem shrouded in a layer of chaos qi, face indistinguishable. Whoosh! Lu Changsheng used a forceful and domineering mana to catch Chu Qingyi, and from his sleeve shot out a white-gold magical sword, clashing and colliding with the blood-colored flying dagger, shattering everything. What, another nascent soul immortal? Ling Feng immortal, venerable Hu Xiao, and the recently ready to assist Wuxia sect immortal in the field were all stunned. They didn't expect there would be another nascent soul immortal in the secret realm. However, this nascent soul immortal seemed not to be a demonic path cultivator, but a righteous sword cultivator. Fairy Qingyi. Seeing Chu Qingjia's situation before him, Lu Changsheng's heart sank. Her palace dress white skirt was tattered and torn, her exquisitely beautiful face pale as paper, devoid of blood. This wasn't the critical issue. The crucial point was that Chu Qingjia's entire meridians and bones were nearly shattered, and there was a bizarre aura eroding her life force. Although Chu Qingyi was in a severely injured, critical state, her Buddhist rejection of males made her instinctively want to struggle, but she couldn't move. However, she felt a familiar mana aura from Lu Changsheng, her beautiful eyes slightly opened, weakly saying, "Who are you, Wiz?" At this moment, the blood-colored flying dagger came killing towards Lu Changsheng again. Courting death. Lu Changsheng's eyes turned cold, a series of flying swords appeared in his hand. These flying swords were similar in form to the previous white-gold flying sword, only differing in color, with a star-like sheen flowing on them, sharp and brilliant. 7 Luminaries Sword Formation. Lu Changsheng formed a gesture incantation with one hand, the 7 flying swords bursting with resplendent sword light in gold, black, white, green, red, yellow, and blue, swirling around him. The technique he used now was not the Yin-Yang creation scripture, but the 7 Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture. As for these 7 flying swords, they were not the 7 Luminaries' Star Sword, but rather 9 small treasure arrows he obtained from White Peak Immortal in the past. Through the formless treasure wheel, these 9 small arrows were made to appear in flying sword form, used for temporary battle. Clang! The blood-colored flying dagger collided with the sword array divine light, causing a violent sound, mana ripples, but unable to advance an inch. Just as Lu Changsheng prepared to counterattack against this demonic path cultivator. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1299. He. The red-haired figure suddenly laid eyes on Lu Changxing. Its hollow, soulless gaze shot out twin beams of blood-red light, accompanied by a low, eerie laugh. Even with his tiny divine soul and third-rank middle-stage body refinement, Lu Changxing felt a chill run down his spine, his chi blood boiling and surging uncontrollably. Cough, cough, cough. Clutched in Lu Changxing's arms, Chu Qingyi shuddered at the sound of the ghastly laughter. Her internal organs trembled, and she coughed up blood violently, teetering on the edge of unconsciousness. Daoist, beware. Although Spirit Peak True Person didn't recognize Lu Changxing, the current dire situation made it clear that Lu Changxing wasn't an evildoer. Hoping to join forces, she called out to ward off the red-haired figure. Boom! The red-haired figure arrived before Lu Changxing in an instant. He felt as though the heavens and earth were sealed, trapping him in a suffocating quagmire, rendering him immobile. Could this really be a nascent soul ghost cultivator? Shock coursed through Lu Changxing's heart. To his knowledge, only a nascent soul true lord possessed the ability to suppress the void and lock down the heavens with a mere wave of the hand. 7 Luminary Star Sword Formation. Without a moment to think further, he unleashed multiple spells in succession. The 7 Luminary Star Sword began vibrating furiously, instantly splitting into 64 identical magical swords. Sword light burst forth, weaving and spinning madly, as if summoning the 7 luminary stars from the cosmos. Boom! But before Lu Changxing's sword formation could fully take shape, the massive red-haired hand swatted it away like a fragile glass sculpture. The sword light shattered instantly, and the hand reached straight for him. With Chu Qingyi secured in one arm, Lu Changxing clenched his fist with the other. Divine radiance flowed across his knuckles as he struck back with full force. Bang! That one punch felt like hitting an ancient divine mountain forged from immortal gold. It didn't budge an inch, leaving Lu Changxing's fist and arm numb with pain. His whole body was flung sideways through the air. What is this monstrosity? Terror clawed at Lu Changxing's heart as he realized that unless he activated every trump card he had, there was no way he could match this red-haired figure. Come here. Come to me, or else. It will kill you both. I can't hold on much longer. At that moment, the weathered voice Lu Changxing had heard earlier echoed once again in his mind. He. The red-haired figure had previously attacked whoever was nearest, like when Venerable Wuxia was swatted away, and the figure then turned to target Chu Qingyi. When Chu Qingyi was out of reach, it attacked Spirit Peak True Person instead. But now, it seemed oddly fixated on Lu Changxing. Seeing him sent flying, it pursued relentlessly. From the distance, Spirit Peak True Person, Venerable Wuxia, and the Wuxia sect cultivators watched the scene, surprise flashing across their faces. However, there was no time to dwell on questions. They promptly launched attacks to suppress the red-haired figure and ease Lu Changxing's plight. Boom, 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 countless mana attacks struck the red-haired figure, but they only managed to slow its steps momentarily, ultimately failing to inflict any real damage. Damn it! Lu Changxing cursed under his breath at the sight. Glancing down at Chu Qingyi in his arms, her weak aura and faint breath announcing an impending demise, his expression darkened and shifted unpredictably. Sir the Nafire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. He didn't have too much to worry about himself, escaping was still within reach. But with Chu Qingyi in her current state, she wouldn't last much longer. Come to me, and I can help you save her, the weathered voice rang out in his mind once more. This time, it carried an urgency, a panicked desperation absent before. Weighing the voice's words, Lu Changxing cast a glance at the red-haired figure ahead. A storm of thoughts churned within him. Mindful of his life substitute talisman and other contingency measures, he gritted his teeth and made a split-second decision. Clutching Chu Qingyi tightly, he bolted at full speed toward the direction of the heavenly monument. Daoist. Spirit Peak True Person and the others froze, stunned by Lu Changxing's sudden retreat with Chu Qingyi toward the depths of the secret realm. Their expressions bore a mix of bewilderment and apprehension. Roar! The red-haired figure bellowed as Lu Changxing dashed past, surging forward with a killing intent that made the surrounding space feel as though it was collapsing. Boom! The 9 treasures Rui bone on Lu Changxing's chest flared with radiant brilliance, unleashing a massive, surging force that partially broke the oppressive binding. Transforming into a streak of sword light, Lu Changxing vanished instantly from the scene. Before long, Lu Changxing arrived at the site where the heavenly monument had previously collapsed. Beneath him loomed a deep pit, with interwoven array patterns emanating soft, mystic auras. A translucent, azure-blue lotus, entwined in profound energies, shimmered faintly into view. That's Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus. Lu Changsheng's brows furrowed slightly at the sight of the familiar yet enigmatic lotus. He immediately recognized it as the 4th-ranked Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus. To think that beneath the heavenly monument, such a treasure existed. Senior. Rather than seizing the Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus, Lu Changxing called out aloud. He had already sensed that the one who sent him the telepathic messages was right here. Buzz! The azure-blue Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus swayed gently, its patterns flowing as radiant light surged around it. Rays of divine brilliance intertwined, embodying an ethereal presence of Tao and reason. Ripples of spatial energy collected and swirled to form a small vortex, as though connecting to another world. Lu Changsheng's sharp eyes glimmered with golden light, attempting to peer beyond the vortex into what lay beyond. So, when the Tianyuan Supreme Lotus grows into the Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus, it evolves from a void treasure into a cave heaven treasure? Lu Changsheng's gaze deepened, catching glimpses of what appeared to be a cave heaven spanning several square miles beyond the vortex. Without hesitation, he released a puppet to venture into the vortex first. After confirming the absence of immediate danger, Lu Changxing, with Chu Qingyi in tow, leaped into the vortex within the Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1300. As soon as Lu Changxing entered the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, an intense wave of spiritual energy surged toward him, almost thick enough to liquefy, refreshing his mind and spirit. However, apart from the abundant spiritual energy, this cave heaven realm didn't appear exceptionally unique, gray and hazy skies reminiscent of the Mount Sumeru cave heaven. A grand temple stood erect ahead. Constructed entirely of golden iron and white jade, it emanated a crystalline brilliance, ancient yet imposing. But the pervasive silence inspired a profound sense of desolation. Holding Chu Qingyi in his arms, Lu Changxing casually surveyed the surroundings of the cave heaven. His expression remained serene, as he coolly said, "Senior, since you summoned me, why not show yourself?" As his words echoed, the dense spiritual energy mist before him began to stir, and a faint, nearly imperceptible figure gradually materialized. Lu Changsheng's gaze sharpened upon seeing the figure, his heart skipping a beat, his vigilance heightened. The figure's appearance bore a striking resemblance to the red-haired figure seen outside, a jade crown atop its head, adorned in a flowing white robe embroidered with Qilin motifs. Yet, unlike the menacing red hair, this person exuded a gentle aura, with refined features like those of a scholar swordsman lamenting the hardships of life. Remarkable youth, truly awe-inspiring. I never thought I'd encounter someone like you in my lifetime, the remnant soul spoke, its melancholy eyes fixed on Lu Changxing, a deep sense of nostalgia resonating in its tone. Even as merely a fragment of a soul, it could not fully discern Lu Changxing. Nonetheless, through the subtle resonance of the Tianyuan Treasure Lotus, it had observed parts of Lu Changsheng's essence during his battle with Nangong Meili. I wonder why Senior summoned me here? Without lowering his guard, Lu Changxing addressed the remnant soul in a measured tone. Despite mentions of inheritance and opportunities, he did not believe in such fortuitous gifts falling from the heavens. He was certain the soul had an ulterior motive for calling him. Rest assured, I bear no malice. Furthermore, after countless years, my primordial spirit's origin source has already withered and depleted. What remains now is but a fragment of my persistence tethered to the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. I possess no capability for body snatching. The remnant soul, noticing Lu Changsheng's strong wary stance, calmly explained. Senior overstates, Lu Changsheng replied dryly. Though the soul's words might be genuine, Lu Changsheng did not lower his guard. Compared to the dread-inducing Hong Lian of years past, this soul was far more ethereal, but the pressure it exerted was not weaker. In fact, it surpassed Hong Lian. Facing such an existence, caution was indispensable. Seeing that Lu Changsheng remained wary, the remnant soul appeared unperturbed, continuing, You were summoned here, firstly because of fate. My primordial spirit's essence is exhausted, and the ability to communicate with you depends on the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus within your body. Additionally, you've cultivated the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, proving that fate connects us. Thus, I hope you will inherit my teachings. Ia the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The remnant soul elaborated. Senior, I already possess a profound inheritance, making it impossible for me to take on another, Lu Changsheng responded. However, I can seek suitable successors on your behalf to ensure your legacy does not fall into obscurity. Glancing at the pale, lifeless face of Chu Qingyi in his embrace, whose breathing was chaotic and faint, Lu Changsheng added solemnly. As he spoke, his Qi Ocean Core and Great Tao Golden Core radiated dazzling hues, sending forth an astonishing surge of yin-yang magic power. Boom! 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 This magical aura enveloped Lu Changsheng, forming a yin-yang Taoist chart that seemed to depict the harmony of heavens and earth, accompanied by faint echoes of the Great Tao. This, the remnant soul, gazing at the yin-yang Taoist chart above Lu Changsheng's head, revealed a rare expression of shock amid its tranquil demeanor. Even as merely a fragment of a soul, it could sense the profound and boundless mysteries of the Great Tao flowing through this Taoist chart. Remarkable youth, truly awe-inspiring. To think you possess such a cultivation inheritance, I have overstepped my boundaries. The remnant soul's face softened into a contemplative expression. Though its own cultivation legacy was extraordinary, it recognized that someone like Lu Changsheng would disdain its teachings. If that is the case, then as you've suggested, kindly assist me in finding a successor. The remnant soul finally said. Its hand lightly raised, and a pristine jade slip appeared out of thin air, floating before Lu Changsheng. This contains all of my cultivation techniques and teachings. If it interests you, you are welcome to study and cultivate them as well. To the remnant soul, Lu Changsheng, having cultivated the yin-yang creation scripture, a top-tier cultivation technique, would not covet its legacy. Furthermore, its teachings were intricate and abstruse, beyond the comprehension of average cultivators, so it didn't mind if Lu Changsheng learned them. No need to worry, senior, Lu Changsheng reassured, golden light shimmering in his eyes as he cautiously accepted the jade slip. He hadn't expected the soul to hand over its inheritance so straightforwardly. Carefully, he inspected the jade slip. Tianyuan scripture, Tianyuan sword art, Nirvana golden body. The slip detailed numerous techniques, with the Tianyuan scripture evidently being the compilation of his core teachings. Beyond foundational practices, there were many spells, secret arts, and cultivation insights. While the Tianyuan sword art shared part of its name with the Tianyuan scripture, it was not a paired technique, clearly an independent creation of the Tianyuan true monarch. Before Lu Changsheng could delve deeper, the remnant soul gazed at him and resumed speaking, calling you here. The second reason is to make a request. Its typically calm voice now carried slight tremors, steeped in profound melancholy and time-worn anguish. A request. Lu Changsheng frowned upon hearing this. If an existence of such caliber uttered the word request, it inevitably indicated a matter of significance. Yet, glancing again at the woeful Chu Qingyi cradled in his arms, Lu Changsheng composed himself and seriously answered, Please speak, senior. If it's within my power, I will attempt my utmost to fulfill it, but I cannot promise success. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1301, Having your answer is enough. After all, I was merely holding on to a sliver of hope regarding this matter. The remnant soul's gaze was sorrowful as it sighed, saying, I hope that within your lifetime, you can find a sword. Find a sword? Sea the Oval Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Changxing furrowed his brows slightly, feeling that this request was somewhat puzzling. The remnant soul did not explain, instead asking, "Do you know about the innate sword spiritual body?" "I've never heard of it." Lu Changxing shook his head. The myriad spiritual constitutions found in the cultivation world were too numerous to count, so much so that even a nascent soul true lord wouldn't dare claim to know them all. The innate sword spiritual body is an extraordinarily rare constitution. It not only allows one to refine their physical body and soul into swords but also enables the refinement of all things under heaven into swords. Once this spiritual body achieves great success, it can even transform into an innate sword spirit. As the remnant soul reached this point, its voice grew heavier. My daughter possessed the innate sword spiritual body. Years ago, when I attempted to break through to the divinity transformation realm, I was struck by the triadic tribulation of heaven, earth, and man. Not only did I fail to break through, ending in my demise and the collapse of my Tao, but I also brought disaster upon my wife and daughter. Among the calamities, there were those who came from my daughter's innate sword spiritual body, aiming to turn her into a sword spirit to forge a heavenly spirit treasure. The remnant soul's voice carried profound sorrow, shadowed by a potent killing intent. In his era, he had dominated the southern wilderness and was lauded as someone with the potential for divinity transformation. Everyone believed he had a great chance to succeed in breaking through. But when attempting the breakthrough, not only did he perish and lose his Tao, but his actions also brought disaster upon his wife and daughter. His wife was slain in battle, and his daughter even faced the horrifying possibility of being transformed into a sword. Turn her into a sword spirit to forge a heavenly spirit treasure. Lu Changsheng's heart skipped a beat. While spiritual constitutions brought immense benefits to cultivation, they also easily attracted trouble. Just as his own daughter, Lu Wangshu, possessed the blood talisman spiritual body. In her early years, when she ventured beyond, she was spotted by a demon cultivator who sought to sacrifice her into a talisman. So as a father, he could fully understand the other party's fury. Lu Changxing pondered for a moment and said, "Senior, I am only in the golden core stage now, far from qualified to even touch upon that level." In the future, before he could finish his words, the remnant soul cut him off. "I understand. This request was merely my lingering hope, an obsession. I simply hope that in the future, if you have the ability, you might attempt to seek it. If you find this sword, rescue my daughter. If not, you need not hold yourself to this." The remnant soul sighed faintly. He knew it had been thousands of years since his demise, that the outside world had long become unrecognizable. Looking for a sword was as improbable as a fantasy. What's more, it was uncertain if his daughter hadn't already been forged into a heavenly spirit treasure. "Very well. If such a day ever comes, I, Lu Changxing, pledge to find the sword you spoke of, senior, and rescue your daughter." Lu Changxing solemnly pledged. After finishing, he asked, "Does this sword have a name?" "If the sword still exists in this world, its name might be Tianyu." Seeing Lu Changsheng's sincere words and proactive inquiry, the remnant soul appeared somewhat gratified as it spoke. "I, Xin Tianyuan, have never owed anyone nor allowed promises made to me to be futile. Young friend, do you wish to save this woman?" The Tianyuan true monarch looked at Chu Qingyi and spoke directly. He did not demand that Lu Changxing swear a Dao heart oath or anything similar. From his perspective, Lu Changxing, with his extraordinary talent and unparalleled inheritance, was someone of immense pride and integrity. Having agreed, it was impossible for him to renege. Moreover, for someone destined to become a top-tier cultivator, potentially ascending to nascent soul transcendent in the future, insincere promises would leave cracks in his mental state. "That's correct. May I ask what method Senior proposes?" Lu Changxing asked immediately. "This woman has shattered meridians and broken bones. Her true elixir is damaged, and saving her is no easy task. However, since you cultivate the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, I possess a secret method that will allow you to use the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to extend her life." The Tianyuan true monarch glanced at Chu Qingyi, who was in Lu Changsheng's arms, and spoke as such. The sun-moon samsara technique. Hearing this, Lu Changxing froze. Damn it, is that your so-called solution? If it's through that method, why would I lose someone, even bother asking for help? With the yin-yang nirvana technique, life transference technique, and the healing divine light of the 9 treasures Rui Bone, as long as there's a sliver of breath left, I could save her myself. But upon hearing the Tianyuan true monarch mention that Chu Qingjia's true elixir was damaged, Lu Changsheng's heart tightened. He quickly examined Chu Qingjia's condition with his divine sense. Immediately, he saw her qi ocean core within the fractured Tao foundation. On top of it, a true elixir emanating faint traces of golden core charm was dim and lifeless, with several cracks running through it, causing her origin source to dissipate. Earlier, due to the urgency of the situation, he hadn't noticed that Chu Qingjia's condition was so critical. Wouldn't this mean that even if Chu Qingyi were revived, she'd still face the issue of her damaged Tao foundation, making future progress impossible? No. At this moment, Chu Qingyi, lying in Lu Changsheng's arms, suddenly grew agitated. Despite her barely audible breath, she struggled to speak. Absolutely not. I'd rather die. Cough, 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 yet before she could finish her sentence, she coughed up blood violently. She had nearly been unconscious before. But having arrived at the Tianyuan lotus, enveloped by the dense spiritual energy of heaven and earth and nourished by Lu Changsheng's mana, she gradually regained a sliver of consciousness. And as soon as she awoke, she overheard the mention of using the sun-moon samsara technique for healing. She was naturally aware of this cultivation technique. She and her master, Yun Wanshang, had discovered this technique together in the past, knowing full well it was a dual cultivation technique. The thought of letting a stranger use such a method to save her was utterly unacceptable. Yet in her heart, she wondered, who exactly was Lu Changxing? Why was he so determined to save her? From the moment Lu Changxing first saved her, the mana he had displayed felt vaguely familiar to her. It was definitely not the same mana currently nourishing her body. Senior, is this truly the only way? Is there no method to restore her foundation? Ignoring Chu Qingjia's refusal, Lu Changxing patted her soft back lightly and turned to the Tianyuan true monarch to ask. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1302. If there were only this method, he wouldn't need to ask the other party for help, he could save her himself. Though the process might be somewhat improper and taint someone's innocence. But after all, she was Xiao Xia's senior sister and Yun Wanshang's disciple. Could he truly stand by and do nothing? Huh? Why was he suddenly thinking about these two connections? Why did that make it even more exciting? Sir, the novel, F. Iyer. And a website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. No, this was simply the compassion of a healer. Seeing a patient in such critical condition, his emotions were naturally stirred. He's quite the gentleman. Chu Qingyi, lying weakly in Lu Changsheng's arms, heard these words. Her eyes quivered, and her long, thick eyelashes, like small fans, fluttered gently. At this moment, she was so weak that she couldn't even move a single finger. If Lu Changxing really wanted to save her through this method, she wouldn't have any means to resist. If young friend wishes to restore her foundation, this old man does have a method, but it is exceedingly dangerous, Tianyuan true monarch said after a slight deliberation. Senior, please do share. Lu Changxing thought to himself, as expected of a nascent soul true lord, his knowledge and methods were indeed extraordinary. Young friend has condensed a first-grade golden core, hasn't he? Tianyuan true monarch's gaze scrutinized Lu Changxing as he asked. Indeed. Lu Changxing nodded in affirmation, not bothering to explain about the great Tao golden core. A first-grade golden core. Hearing this exchange, Chu Qingyi, whose consciousness was already blurred, was shocked. Core formation was divided into 9 grades. More than 90% of cultivators could only dream of forming a high-quality golden core. But a first-grade golden core, it was the pinnacle achievement of core formation. Even in the Jianghu country cultivation realm, and even in the entire southern wilderness cultivation realm, such cases were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. And yet, the Lu Changxing before her had actually condensed a first-grade golden core. In this moment, Chu Qingyi grew even more curious about who Lu Changxing truly was. Why did he care so much about saving her? How did he also master the sun-moon samsara technique? Since young friend possesses a first-grade golden core, then this method becomes somewhat more feasible. Tianyuan True Monarch nodded slightly and said, "Now, this old man has little time left. Beyond the inheritance of my cultivation technique, I have one final gift for you, young friend, this Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus. This lotus previously housed my second nascent soul. When I attempted to break through to divinity transformation, it was baptized by the origin source of divinity transformation, and it was just one step away from advancing to the heavenly Yuan Dao Lotus. This is precisely why this remnant soul of mine has lasted until today. Now that the nascent soul has dissipated, a trace of the nascent soul's origin source remains. I can transfer it to young friend as a means of empowerment and refinement. In the process, you can use the elixir conversion secret technique to dissolve this woman's true elixir and use it to repair her Bodhis meridians. Then, through the sun-moon samsara technique, you can help her form a core anew. If successful, not only will her meridian injuries fully recover, but her cultivation could also achieve a breakthrough, and she could condense a golden core." Tianyuan True Monarch's voice was calm and unhurried as he explained. The elixir conversion secret technique. Lu Changxing, of course, understood such a technique. Some false core immortals or cultivators with low-grade mixed cores, who encountered great fortune and had sufficient confidence in surviving, could use such secret techniques to break and rebuild their core. However, the better the quality of the core, the higher the risk. For example, dissolving the inner core of a false core immortal carried a mortality rate of 30 to 50%. But attempting to dissolve a low-quality core could raise that mortality rate to 70 or 80%. And for someone like Chu Qingyi, who had reached half-step golden core, attempting such a technique would undoubtedly be a near-death experience. What's more, in her current state, she was already clinging to life by a thin thread. Her core might not even fully dissolve before she succumbed to death. Seeing Lu Changsheng's hesitation, Tianyuan True Monarch shook his head slightly and said, "Breaking before remaking, destruction before rebirth." Given this woman's condition, the two choices are as described earlier: use the sun-moon samsara technique to maintain her vitality, or break and rebuild. With this old man's nascent soul origin, along with spiritual medicines from the medicine garden, and young friend's assistance with the first-grade golden core, there's about a 30% chance. Tianyuan True Monarch explained in such terms. After speaking, he fell silent, giving Lu Changxing time to think. "Fairy Qingyi, you have surely heard this senior's words?" After a moment of contemplation, Lu Changxing looked down at the Chu Qingyi in his arms, letting her decide for herself. "Thank you, Daoist, but there's no need to save me." Chu Qingyi's pale, bloodless lips moved faintly as she spoke, her voice weak and waning. "No. You must choose one of the two options. If you don't decide, I'll decide for you," Lu Changxing said firmly, his tone leaving no room for argument. "No," cough, 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 Chu Qingyi wanted to refuse again, but she was too frail to speak. Her life was entirely sustained by Lu Changsheng's mana. "I understand that the fairy would rather die than have her body tarnished. But I, Lu Changxing, have fallen for the fairy at first sight and cannot bear to watch you perish." Lu Changxing sighed, his voice heavy. Hearing Lu Changsheng's words, Chu Qingyi's pallor was tinged with a faint flush. So, he was saving her because he had fallen for her. Since that's the case, Lu Changxing will choose the second method on the fairy's behalf and leave the rest to fate. If it fails, the fairy need not worry. If it succeeds, I, Lu Changxing, will bear responsibility. If the fairy is willing, I will go to Qingyun's sect to formally propose marriage to Kaiyun True Immortal. Lu Changxing took a deep breath and continued. Tianyuan True Monarch mentioned a 30% chance. In Lu Changsheng's estimation, the odds should be slightly higher. If all else failed, he could at least stabilize Chu Qingjia's fragile vitality with his advanced medical skills, buying time to think of other solutions. Having made up his mind, he didn't wait for Chu Qingyi to respond but turned toward Tianyuan True Monarch and said, "Senior, let's proceed with your method." "Oh right, Senior, the red-haired creature from earlier was pursuing us and is heading this way. Will it have any impact? Furthermore, the secret realm is collapsing. If it completely crumbles, will that affect us?" At this moment, Lu Changxing thought of the situation outside and voiced his concern. Chu Qingjia's condition was critical. If they could treat her here within the cave heaven, that would be ideal. But if the collapse of the secret realm would interfere, things would become exceedingly troublesome. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1303. The corpse covered in red hair outside is my physical body. It will not affect the Tianyuan lotus. So spoke the Tianyuan True Monarch. As expected. Upon hearing these words, Lu Changxing muttered to himself that his suspicions were correct. He had seen remnants of the Tianyuan True Monarch's soul earlier and suspected they were connected to the red-haired figure outside. He even suspected that the other party had intentionally used the red-haired corpse to lure him here. As if perceiving Lu Changxing's thoughts, the Tianyuan True Monarch's eyes flickered faintly with sorrow, and he sighed, "I suppose, little friend, you are curious as to why this secret realm has taken such a shape. Years ago, after I failed to achieve divinity transformation, I managed to escape with my second nascent soul and stumbled upon this secret realm. But my injuries were too severe, and though I attempted body snatching and restart cultivation, I could no longer attain my peak. So I plotted to place myself in deadly peril for rebirth. Through a secret technique, I transformed myself into a corpse demon, fueled by the obsession in my heart for revenge. The method, however, was perilous. Fearing my vengeance, my enemies used my daughter's bloodline as a medium to place a curse upon me. Ultimately, my cultivation failed. My being became tainted by misfortune, and I ran rampant within the secret realm, slaughtering indiscriminately. It was only through the inheritance steel of the Haoran sect that I managed, barely, to suppress the misfortune. The vengeful spirits and ghost cultivators you've encountered earlier are the people I killed back then, and their spirits were sealed alongside me beneath the steel." The Tianyuan True Monarch finished his explanation with a heavy sigh. The individuals within this secret realm, though considered his retainers, had suffered calamity due to him and were nearly entirely annihilated. Transformed into a corpse demon, a bloodline curse. After hearing this, Lu Changxing narrowed his eyes. Inwardly, he mused that nascent soul true lords truly possessed an arsenal of techniques. Not a single one of them seemed straightforward. Yet this matter of bloodline curses intrigued Lu Changxing, making him more vigilant. Indeed, given his current circumstances, if someone intended to use divine techniques involving bloodline curses against him, it would be remarkably easy. The vast cultivation world is filled with treasures, secret techniques, and divine skills. Defenses against such methods are never foolproof. One must exercise caution. Lu Changxing let out a quiet sigh in his heart and said, "Senior, if the secret realm collapses, will it affect the Tianyuan lotus?" "It will." The Tianyuan True Monarch replied directly. The secret realm is now depleted, interfered with by external forces, and has lost the stabilizing support of the steel. In just a few days, it will completely disintegrate, scattering into infinite spatial fragments that will drift through the great void. Even if you are within the Tianyuan lotus, you will be affected. However, I will make a full effort shortly, expending some of my origin source to send the Tianyuan lotus out. But as for the specifics, I cannot guarantee. It will depend entirely on yourself. So declared the Tianyuan True Monarch. Very well, since that's the case, I shall trouble you, Senior. Without further hesitation, Lu Changxing responded immediately. Given the current predicament, he could no longer afford to delay. On one hand, Chu Qingjia's condition could not wait. On the other hand, the heaven and earth net outside might escalate into a nascent soul battle, making his escape exceedingly difficult. Since little friend is ready, I shall begin. Within the Tianyuan lotus are some heavenly and earthly treasures I left behind in years past. feel free to take them. As for my physical body, once the secret realm collapses, it will naturally be cast into the great void. Moreover, outside the secret realm are 3 nascent soul cultivators. I suspect suppressing my depleted physical body will pose no challenge for them. Having spoken, the Tianyuan true monarch let out a carefree laugh, his sorrow-filled eyes seeming to exude a faint sense of release. Thousands of years of existence for him had been nothing short of torment. He endured it wholly due to a single lingering obsession. Rest assured, Senior, Lu will surely find a suitable inheritor for your legacy. Once capable, I will also seek out information about your daughter and rescue her. Holding Chu Qingyi in his arms, Lu Changxing spoke with a solemn expression. This promise was not solely motivated by the benefits offered by the other party. It also stemmed from him, as a father himself, witnessing the others enduring thousands of years for his daughter's sake. Very well. The Tianyuan true monarch revealed a gratified smile and gently lifted his palm. Beams of light burst forth, transforming into a dense sphere of 5-colored radiance that enveloped Lu Changxing and Chu Qingyi. Ho, ho, ho. At the same time, the thick and pure spiritual energy within the cave heaven surged toward Lu Changxing like water, forming a vortex of spiritual energy around him. From the distant medicine fields, crystalline and fragrant spiritual medicine plants, glowing with radiant luminescence, soared toward him. These spiritual medicines, cultivated by the Tianyuan true monarch himself, were all exceptionally rare and precious, of immense value. To meet a friend like you after death and see such a pleasing development might be considered a stroke of fortune. After completing his efforts, the Tianyuan true monarch let out a hearty laugh, his faint and blurry silhouette dispersing like scattered sand, dissolving into countless specks of light. Boom! The entire cave heaven quaked violently, as though undergoing massive tremors. In that instant, Lu Changxing seemed to share a mysterious connection with the Tianyuan lotus, sensing that the Tianyuan true monarch had ordered it to break through the great void and head toward the outside world. As for where it would go, Lu Changxing didn't know, nor did he have the time to ponder. The origin source of the Tianyuan true monarch's nascent soul surged into his body, akin to the collapse of a vast ocean, flowing toward every corner of his being, almost causing his physique to rupture. This power was overwhelming. Even though it was merely a portion of the nascent soul's origin source, it was far beyond what an ordinary cultivator could withstand. Fortunately, Lu Changxing practiced magical dual cultivation. Not only had he condensed the great Tao golden core, but he also possessed the physical refinement ability of the third-order middle stage. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to endure this torrent of power within his body. Fairy Qingyi. Lu Changxing looked toward Chu Qingyi, who lay in his arms, and gently placed her on the ground, intending to mend her tattered palace gown. You. Who are you? Chu Qingyi's beautiful eyes remained tightly shut, her exquisitely chiseled face deathly pale, with streaks of blood at the corners of her lips, a sight of poignant tragedy and beauty, reminiscent of a female sword immortal drifting down from the heavens. She knew she could not resist Lu Changxing's actions now. Sia the Nefire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1304. Even if the other party uses some means, I might not refuse. But she wants to know who Lu Changxing really is. Why does the other party have a bit of familiarity about him, willing to take such a big risk to save her, and also knows the sun-moon samsara technique? Lu Changxing of Bai Lake Mountain once took the alias Hanli, met Fairy Qingyi on the Green Cloud spirit ship, and fell in love at first sight. Lu Changxing stopped his palm. With a calm expression on his face, he said. Although Mr. Lu is amorous, he has always been unchanging in name and surname. Even if he sacrifices his own purity to save someone, he is willing to take responsibility. As for the issue of identity, after the secret realm ends, if he and Chu Qingyi return safely, they will definitely attract the attention of others. So Lu Changxing has thought it through. After returning, he will go to the Qingyun sect to propose to Kaiyun true Immortal and confess the situation of his cultivation level. Disciples' life and purity, this woman should be able to distinguish between light and heavy. No matter what the result is, Yun Wanshang is a nascent soul immortal of the Qingyun sect, the enforcement hall master, with dual core formation. As long as she is willing to step forward, she can easily brush over this matter with any excuse. Furthermore, since Chu Qingyi is a nascent soul immortal of the Qingyun sect, as long as she doesn't reveal her own situation, it shouldn't be a big problem. By Lake Mountain, Lu Changxing, Chu Qingyi's heart skipped a beat when she heard this. She naturally knows this name. First, Lu Changxing has quite a reputation under Qingyun's rule. Second, she once asked her junior sister Xiao Xia about Hanli, but her junior sister casually brushed it off. After investigating, she found out that her junior sister doesn't have many friends, but there was one named Lu Changxing. Later she learned that her junior sister was getting closer to this Lu Changxing, and there were even rumors. She never expected that Lu Changxing was the loose cultivator Hanli who once saved her. No wonder junior sister was so vague back then. Chu Qingyi remembered that she was once detoxified by Lu Changxing when their skins touched, and now she's going to, no. She felt Lu Changxing reaching out to remove her skirt, her pale face flushed as she wanted to protest. But before she could finish speaking, Lu Changxing bent down and kissed her lips, blocking her words. Upon kissing her, Lu Changxing immediately activated the life transference technique, nourishing her with his own abundant vitality. Just as Tianyuan True Monarch dissipated, he had already told him the key points of this method. The main thing is that Chu Qingyi's vitality must be maintained, then successfully form a core formation. Whether forming a core or core formation, it's extremely perilous. Even though Chu Qingyi possesses a nascent soul origin and heavenly spirit medicine, it is very dangerous. Chu Qingyi felt a rich male scent enter her nose and mouth. This scent wasn't pungent, rather it was quite pleasant, smelling very comfortable. Possibly mixed with blood in the mouth, there was even some sweetness. However, she clearly felt a warm current containing abundant vitality entering her mouth, reaching her limbs, leaving her mind mixed with emotions. This was consuming his origin to heal her wounds. Except for her master, no one else had ever done this for her. Giving without expecting a return. She wanted to say something, but now not only was she weak, her soft and slender tongue was wrapped entirely by Lu Changxing, leaving her to only make muffled whimpering sounds. Lu Changxing heard these whimpering sounds like a small beast, thinking of her during the core formation ceremony at Qingyun sect, wearing a blue cloud-patterned robe, bearing a deep blue longsword, walking on Rainbow Bridge, being revered by all, the unparalleled celestial beauty. He couldn't help but feel a bit accomplished in his heart. After all, pressing such a lofty fairy under his body and tasting her at will is a desire in every man's heart. Even after decades, Lu ancestor's heart remains pure and unblemished. Chu Qingyi was gravely injured, but her body still emitted a faint fragrance, seemingly teasing Lu Changsheng's mental spirit. Under the kiss, her breathing gradually quickened, knowing what was about to happen. Yet, for some reason, besides chaos in her heart, she surprisingly didn't have much resistance. Has she accepted her fate? However, at this moment, she felt Lu Changxing letting her go. Qingyi. A warm soothing voice sounded in her ears. In the recent nourishment, Chu Qingyi seemed to have gained a little more strength, her eyelashes trembled lightly, and she slowly opened her beautiful eyes. Immediately she saw an incredibly handsome face. Previously, she had seen Lu Changxing, but never paid much attention. After all, in the cultivation world, handsome faces are countless. Mere looks aren't enough to attract much attention. But for some unknown reason, she now felt that Lu Changsheng's handsome face was immaculate, and just looking at him, gave rise to a natural sense of closeness. Qingyi, I am about to start, are you ready? Lu Changxing looked at Chu Qingyi in front of him with gentle eyes, filled with deep affection. The way she looked so tragically beautiful, made one want to love her dearly and warm her coldness. Chu Qingyi was somewhat at a loss for words. At this point, you're still asking me? Do I have any room to refuse? And even if I refuse, will you agree? Moreover, for some reason, seeing Lu Changxing putting in so much effort and using every means to save her, she couldn't say the words of rejection anymore. Just as Lu Changxing said, leave everything to fate. Sar the novel Fire. Net asterisk website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If it fails, she will die, and before her death, she can treat this as a dream. If it succeeds, then it's meant to be. At this moment, Chu Qingjia's heart was in chaos. Seeing this, Lu Changxing smiled slightly, knowing that the atmosphere had reached this point, asking further would be less than ideal. However, seeing Fairy Qingyi in this manner, she really was adorable. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1305, leaning down, he continued to kiss her cold lips, his hand removing the last layer of her dress. Chu Qingjia's skin was pale and delicate, slender and gentle, far less seductive and fiery than Nangong Mili. She was not as enchanting and graceful as their master Yun Wanshang, nor as alluring and exquisite as junior sister Xiao Xia. Yet, her proportions were nearly perfect. Her snow-like bosom resembled overturned jade bowls, just filling a single palm. Her slender waist swayed like a willow, her curves elegant and breathtaking. Her delicate, round hips were plump and firm, and her long legs were shapely and exquisitely proportionate, utterly flawless. Lu Changxing slid off the white jade boots and silk stockings from her snow-white legs, revealing a pair of tender, beautifully shaped jade-like feet. Her two pale and soft feet resembled spring shoots, smooth as silk, gripped gently in Lu Changxing's hands. She wanted to protest, but exhaustion rendered her powerless, allowing only a faint redness to blossom across her skin, making her appear stunning. Lu Changxing didn't linger on playing around. At this moment, Tianyuan True Monarch's nascent soul origin had saturated his own meridians, dantian, and every fiber of his being. If he didn't begin refining or transferring it into Chu Qingyi soon, even he wouldn't be able to endure the pressure. Considering the lack of preparation and foreplay, Lu Changxing squinted slightly as a peach blossom mark flickered faintly between his brows, glowing with a faint pink hue. Gradually, Chu Qingjia's icy white skin took on faint pink tones, her half-closed delicate eyes becoming hazy and unfocused. Lu Changxing sighed inwardly at his actions, thinking his methods were truly, but given the urgency of the situation, saving her life outweighed everything else, and he refrained from indulging in further irrelevant thoughts. Moments later. Within the isolated realm of the cave heaven, spring's lingering atmosphere slowly spread. The two figures, enveloped in multicolored spiritual light and nature's spiritual energy, tightly intertwined in harmonious yin-yang rotations. Here, no one disturbed them, not even the faintest breeze existed. Time ticked by bit by bit. It wasn't clear how much time had passed, as the initial stiffness and resistance gradually melted into tender gasps and unconscious yielding. Though the process was undeniably intimate, Lu Changxing focused unwaveringly on his purpose throughout. Once Chu Qingjia's condition seemed stable enough, he immediately reminded her, "Qingyi, prepare for core transformation." Yet, Chu Qingyi showed no response. "Qingyi." Lu Changxing called softly, gazing at her pale face, tightly closed eyes, and tear-streaked cheeks. This kind of core transformation required her full cooperation. Sir, the novel, F. Iyer. And a website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If she refused to participate willingly, attempting it by force would only lead to greater danger. Kill me or flay me afterward if you wish, Lu someone will obey thoroughly. But for now, please listen to me, alright? Besides, didn't you already agree to the second option? Lu Changxing spoke in a low voice. Like hell I agreed, Chu Qingyi wanted to retort. But her previous actions effectively counted as acquiescence, and she sighed softly instead. She then activated her cultivation technique, starting to dissolve the true pill, using its remaining source essence to nourish every inch of her meridians and flesh. Phew. Seeing her cooperation, Lu Changxing felt a significant sense of relief. He had feared she might stubbornly resist at the last moment. Immediately, he gathered the yin-yang magic power scattered across Chu Qingjia's body and directed it toward her Qi Ocean core to help dissolve her shattered true pill, enhancing her physical body and meridians. Pfft. Suddenly, Chu Qingyi coughed up blood from her serious injuries. This core transformation process was similar to forcibly shattering a nascent soul and was perilous beyond measure. Seeing her plight, Lu Changxing urgently transferred his own nascent soul origin into Chu Qingjia's limbs and bones. Simultaneously, he utilized the yin-yang nirvana technique and life transference technique to preserve her vitality. At the same time, he formed gesture incantations with his hands, injecting the spiritual medicine Tianyuan True Monarch had prepared into Chu Qingjia's body to assist her refinement. Boom! 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 3 days later, Chu Qingyi successfully dissolved her true pill, nourishing every inch of her flesh and meridians in the process. During the most critical moments, Lu Changxing employed not only the yin-yang nirvana technique and life transference technique but also the 9 treasures Rui Bone. It could only be said that the core transformation process was dangerously severe. Tianyuan True Monarch had stated there was a 30% success rate, undoubtedly an optimistic estimate. Without the 9 treasures Rui Bone, Lu Changxing suspected that even if Chu Qingyi survived the ordeal, she would be unable to form a new core. Even if successful, her new core would likely be nothing more than a low-grade flawed pill, far below the level of a middle-grade true pill. For such a nascent soul origin, attempting core transformation is still so perilous. No wonder so few dare to undertake the process of breaking and reforming their core. Lu Changxing sighed deeply, having gained first-hand insight into the dangers of core transformation. For ordinary cultivators, unless blessed with extraordinary opportunities, attempting it was practically a death sentence. Additionally, false cores and low-grade nascent soul cultivators faced other limitations: age and potential. An excessively high age could even disqualify one from attempting core transformation altogether. After briefly reflecting, Lu Changxing refocused, embracing the spotless jade-like body before him. He activated the Sun-Moon Samsara technique, working tirelessly to help stabilize Chu Qingjia's condition in preparation for core formation. Thankfully, with the nascent soul origin of Tianyuan True Monarch and the rich spiritual energy within the Tianyuan Lotus, he wasn't wholly depleted despite the unending strain. Lu Changxing felt he could hold on. Meanwhile, in the Luoyun mountain range. What? Qingyi is badly injured, rescued by a sword cultivator, and now untraceable. Yun Wanshang's expression turned icy as she heard the words of Venerable Lingfeng. The flowing fabric of her luxurious, multicolored robe danced violently as an overwhelming, terrifying spiritual pressure surged forth, seemingly suffocating the air. This operation had been orchestrated by the 4 great immortal sects collectively. Now, with Venerable Lingfeng, Venerable Huxiao, and the nascent soul immortals of the Wuxia sect all exiting the secret realm, her own disciple Chu Qingyi was the sole casualty. How could Yun Wanshang not feel outraged? Especially since the previous discussion about the secret realm had confirmed there were no remaining dangers, and it only served to suppress and intimidate the demonic path cultivators. Now the battle was over, yet her disciple had been gravely injured, rescued, and vanished without a trace, her life hanging in uncertain balance. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1306. Now that the secret realm has collapsed, where can one possibly escape to? This is core formation late stage. The nascent soul immortals of the 4 great immortal sects nearby saw Yun Wanshang's spiritual pressure and were all taken aback, their expressions filled with shock. Core formation 9th layer. Every layer poses a significant hurdle. Especially after reaching the core formation middle stage. 9 out of 10 cultivators in core formation spend their entire lives unable to break through to the late stage. Even though the 4 great immortal sects have nurtured many nascent soul immortals, capable of creating an extensive foundation for cultivating such experts. Those who manage to break through to the late stage, however, remain extremely rare. Yun Wanshang is relatively young among the core formation cultivators of the 4 great immortal sects. But now she's ahead in breaking through to the late stage. This is astounding. Junior sister Kai Yun has actually broken through to the late stage of core formation. A nascent soul immortal of Qing Yun's sect was deeply shocked. Others might not know. But as a fellow nascent soul immortal of Qing Yun's sect, he clearly remembered Yun Wanshang's age. She was still a few years short of reaching her 200th birthday. 200 years, for a core formation cultivator, would be considered exceedingly young. There's a high possibility she could break through to the nascent soul stage in the future. With junior sister Kaiyan's talent, even if she fails to break through to nascent soul, she can still cultivate to the pinnacle of core formation. He gazed at Yun Wanshang, his heart filled with joy. With cultivation strength like hers, this naturally boded well for their Qingyun sect. But when he thought about the matter with Chu Qingyi, his heart sank. Kaiyan True Immortal, regarding the secret realm's anomaly at that moment, Lingfeng True Immortal explained the state of the secret realm. Though the three of them managed to escape the secret realm, their faces were pale, and their breathing was weak. Humph. If my disciple has met with misfortune, you all will have to answer to me. Yun Wanshang snorted coldly, speaking directly. Even though Lingfeng True Immortal, a nascent soul immortal of the Heavenly Sword sect, stood before her, she showed no courtesy whatsoever. Kaiyan True Immortal, please quell your anger. Such events were entirely unforeseen. Lingfeng True Immortal, knowing he was in the wrong, responded politely. Perhaps True Immortal could return to check Fairy Kinjia's soul lamp first. If the soul lamp remains lit, I shall report the matter to the true monarch and seek ways to locate Fairy Qingyi. Fine. Yun Wanshang understood that anger was futile at the moment. The priority was finding a solution. If Chu Qingyi had been sucked into the great void, only the intervention of a nascent soul true lord might offer hope of a rescue. Yet, considering the recent battle, where Xianjian True Monarch and Absolute Sword True Monarch ambushed Heavenly Fiend Jinjuan, consuming considerable energy, they probably wouldn't be able to traverse the Great Void again anytime soon. At this moment, her thoughts turned to Lu Changsheng. She had invited him to the Tianyuan secret realm, but now that the realm had experienced an anomaly, many clan cultivators had perished. Yun Wanshang's divine sense swept through the area, yet she saw no trace of Lu Changsheng. Her heart sank slightly. If Lu Changsheng had perished within the secret realm, she wouldn't even know how to face Xiaoxia back home. Have you seen Lu Changsheng? Sir, the novel, F. Iyer. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. She turned towards the Foundation Establishment disciples of Qingyun sect, asking aloud. Lu Changsheng. The Foundation Establishment disciples of Qingyun sect heard the question and appeared bewildered. Some didn't know who Lu Changsheng was. Others were surprised as to why Yun Wanshang would care about such a clan cultivator. True Immortal, are you referring to Bihu Mountain Lord, acclaimed for his dual mastery of pill and talisman arts, Lu Changsheng? At this moment, a Qingyun sect disciple stepped forward and responded respectfully. Yes. Yun Wanshang, dressed in her colorful gown, radiating elegance and beauty, gave a slight nod. Reporting to True Immortal, during the Secret Realm's anomaly, Mountain Lord Lu tried to escape but was suddenly ambushed by a nascent soul immortal in pursuit. Afterward, his whereabouts were unknown. This Qingyun sect disciple responded respectfully. Ambushed by a nascent soul immortal and his whereabouts unknown. Yun Wanshang's heart trembled fiercely upon hearing this. Now that the secret realm had collapsed and shattered, anyone who hadn't made it out was highly likely to have been swept into the great void. Even if Lu Changsheng possessed extraordinary luck and hidden strength, being swept into the great void was incredibly dangerous. The collapse of a secret realm does allow for the possibility of being teleported out of the realm. Yun Wanshang offered herself this reassurance. But the thought of him being pursued by a nascent soul immortal weighed heavily on her mind. Why was Lu Changsheng targeted for pursuit by a nascent soul immortal? Yun Wanshang continued her inquiry. Reporting to True Immortal, none of us are certain of the reason. This Qingyun sect disciple answered respectfully. Yun Wanshang fell silent for a moment, her pale jade-like hands lightly raised, conjuring a multicolored cloud-patterned handkerchief which transformed into a luminous cloud. She gracefully landed atop the cloud, which transformed into a brilliant beam of light that soared into the nine heavens gang wind, disappearing from sight. Why would Kaiyan True Immortal ask about Lu Changsheng? Yes, why would Kaiyan True Immortal be concerned about such a clan cultivator? voices of curiosity began to rise. That Lu Changxing is no ordinary figure. Not long ago, he ascended to the rank of third-rank talisman master. Also, he's said to have saved junior sister Shiyu in her early years, which earned him favor from Kaiyan True Immortal and led to him becoming a visiting noble servant of Qinyan sect. Someone informed the others knowingly. Ah, so that's the reason. TSK, such remarkable talent in talisman arts, and yet it seems Lu Changxing has perished in the secret realm. It's rather regrettable. From what I hear, his qualifications to enter the secret realm were granted by Kaiyan True Immortal, which explains her concern. Ha ha ha, who would have thought that Lu Changxing would truly meet his end in the secret realm? Whispers filled the air. Figures like Sima Qiuhua and Song Cheng, upon hearing that Lu Changxing had seemingly perished in the secret realm, felt delight surge within them. Especially Sima Qiuhua, who could barely contain his desire to relay this good news back to his family. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1307, Jianghu Country's Northern Territory, Great Dream Marsh. The Great Dream Marsh is an immense expanse of water, boundless and endless, shrouded year-round in a layer of hazy mist, affecting not only sight but also obstructing the divine sense of cultivators. Although rumors say the depths of the Great Dream Marsh are extremely perilous, a forbidden zone of absolute danger, many cultivators still venture here. On the one hand, the Great Dream Marsh is rich in aquatic resources, providing a livelihood for both cultivators and ordinary people through fishing. On the other hand, aside from the Great Dream Immortal City, one of the three great immortal cities of Jianghu Country, the Great Dream Marsh is dotted with countless islands. Among these islands, some even contain spirit veins. Even if they are just first-grade spirit veins, or unremarkable ones, they are incredibly precious to loose cultivators. Finding an unclaimed spirit island allows one to become its island master, establish a family or force, and settle down securely. However, over the years, even the slightly better spirit islands in the Great Dream Marsh have already been claimed. At this moment, the night is serene. Moonlight pours down from the heavens, illuminating the shimmering lake surface. By a large black reef, a radiant, flawless lotus of emerald hue, gleaming with crystalline luster, slowly drifts out. This lotus seems to lack roots and stems, drifting freely with the flow of lake water. If a knowledgeable cultivator spotted this lotus throne, they'd instantly recognize it as the priceless heavenly origin Emperor Lotus of the cultivation world. Currently, within the heavenly origin Emperor Lotus, a man and a woman are tightly entwined, their surroundings suffused with a flowing five-colored radiance. Above the man's head, a vibrant sun shines brilliantly. Above the woman's head, only a faint, ethereal moon glimmers weakly. The two form an invisible alchemical furnace, the sun and moon cycle in harmony, merging seamlessly. Pure, dense nature's spiritual energy pours down like raindrops, drenching Lu Changxing's muscular, well-proportioned, aesthetically perfect body. Boom, boom, boom. In addition to the external floods of spiritual energy, Lu Changxing's internal nascent soul origin combines with the primordial yin origin obtained through dual cultivation with Chu Qingyi, surging into his qi ocean core, causing his golden core to radiate brilliance, erupting with powerful five-colored radiance, forming a terrifying spiritual pressure. Boom! 4 months ago, Lu Changxing's cultivation level had just broken through to the golden core second layer. Now, relying on the dual origin power, his cultivation has directly reached the golden core third layer. Yet, this is far from the end. The surging energy continues to flow madly through his flesh, limbs, and bones, driving his yin-yang creation classic to operate frantically on its own. It hurts. Sarch * the novel Fire. Net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. A soft, hoarse voice suddenly echoes. Lu Changxing looks at the disheveled hair and pale complexion of the beauty before him, her brows furrowed tightly, realizing his breakthrough earlier caused him to lose control of his power. Having cultivated the 100 Refinements treasure body art, his physical body is as strong as a demon king, and despite his careful restraint, Chu Qingyi has suffered significantly throughout the process. Otherwise, this usually silent sword immortal child would never have voiced her pain. I'm sorry, Lu Changxing speaks gently in a soothing tone, his chest's 9 treasures Rui bone radiating brilliance, alleviating Chu Qingjia's discomfort while continuing the operation of the sun-moon samsara technique. Chu Qingyi, her pale and tragic beauty accentuated, softly moans as she crinkles her delicate nose, her eyebrow furrowing. Her exquisitely carved snowy feet tense up, her toes curling, almost aligning seamlessly with her sleek, round calves. Moments later, her brows relax, and her slightly parted captivating eyes shimmer faintly with waves of seductive charm. Upon returning to Qingyun's sect, Yun Wanshang hurried directly to the sect's ancestral hall. In Qingyun's sect, disciples who enter the inner sect or break through to foundation establishment are required to leave behind a life-bound token or soul lamp. A soul lamp allows one to sense danger and roughly identify a disciple's location for rescue. Furthermore, if a disciple were to betray the sect, one can use the life-bound token or soul lamp to cast specific secret techniques for capture or curse execution. Junior Sister Kaiyun, what brings you here? The Qingyun sect leader hastily arrives upon hearing the report. The ancestral hall is a restricted area in the sect, even Yun Wanshang, as master of Kaiyun Peak and enforcement hall master, cannot enter freely. The Tianyuan secret realm has undergone an anomaly, Qingjia's life is uncertain. I must enter the ancestral hall to inspect her soul lamp. Yun Wanshang's ruby lips slightly part, her tone icy and resolute. What? The Qingyun sect leader is visibly shocked at this announcement. He is well aware that Chu Qingyi was brought to the sect and raised by Yun Wanshang from a young age. The two share a bond akin to mother and daughter despite their master-disciple relationship. Now, with Chu Qingyi in danger under arrangements made by the sect, Yun Wanshang might harbor grievances. Moreover, Chu Qingyi possesses a born sword heart, advancing rapidly in cultivation, breaking through to golden core before reaching a century in age, and showing remarkable potential for the future. If she truly encounters an accident, it would be a significant loss for Qingyun's sect as well. Without hesitation, he retrieves his sect leader token, combining it with Yun Wanshang's peak master token to unlock the ancestral hall's formation and enters the grand hall. The outermost layer contains soul plates belonging to inner sect disciples and the sect stewards. Further inside lies soul plates and soul lamps belonging to sect core members and foundation establishment disciples and executors. Upon entering the innermost palace, one finds the soul lamps dedicated to the nascent soul immortals. Moments later, Yun Wanshang and the Qingyun sect leader come across a dim, flickering soul lamp, akin to a dying flame in the wind. This is Chu Qingjia's soul lamp. Seeing the soul lamp, the Qingyun sect leader instantly knows Chu Qingyi is gravely endangered, in a life-and-death crisis. He immediately says to Yun Wanshang, Junior Sister Kaiyun, I will notify Junior Brother Du right away to calculate Qingjia's location. Thank you, Senior Brother sect leader. Yun Wanshang gazes at the soul lamp before her, lightly biting her ruby lips, her slender, jade-like hand tightly clenched. Suddenly, as if she recalls something, she leaves the ancestral hall for Kaiyun Peak, transmitting her voice toward Mingyue residence to Xiaoxia. Xia, come see me. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1308. A moment later, Xiaoxia arrived at the mountaintop, clad in snow-white garments. Her face was cold and aloof, as if she embodied the bright and unblemished moon. Seeing the unparalleled beauty before her, wearing a vibrant palace dress, with an air of nobility and elegance, Xiaoxia bowed deeply and said, Master. Xia, Lu Changxing encountered an accident in the Tianyuan secret realm. Go to Bai Lake Mountain and see if he left behind a soul lamp or life-bound token. Yun Wanshang looked at Xiaoxia standing before her, sighed softly, and said, if he did not, then bring back one of his commonly used items. What? Upon hearing her master's words, Xiaoxia's slender figure trembled violently, and the detached mindset of the supreme forgetful love technique she cultivated instantly collapsed. With a look filled with disbelief, she spoke, Master, are you saying that Changxing encountered an accident in the Tianyuan secret realm? Alas, Yun Wanshang gazed at her disciple's expression and sighed deeply in her heart yet again. The supreme forgetful love technique placed the utmost importance on mental fortitude. Her disciple had cultivated this technique for years, maintaining a demeanor that was unmoved by emotions and untouched by sentiment. Now, upon hearing news of Lu Changxing, her composure shattered in an instant, and her Dao heart trembled. This showed that the seeds of emotion had taken deep root, and there was no turning back. If something truly happened to Lu Changxing, if he were to perish, then her disciple's cultivation path would likely be utterly severed. Yet, when Yun Wanshang thought of the potential death of Lu Changxing in the secret realm, a strange sorrow stirred within her heart as well. The Tianyuan secret realm experienced an anomaly, and Lu Changxing's status is now uncertain. He has not emerged from the secret realm, which is why I am asking you to visit by Lake Mountain. Afterward, I will ask Elder Du to perform a divination regarding Lu Changxing's condition. Yun Wanshang's expression remained dignified and serene, her voice soft as she spoke. The secret realm experienced an anomaly, and he has not emerged. Xianxia let out a slight breath of relief at her master's words. Alive, she must find him; dead, she must see his body. As long as she hadn't seen his corpse, she refused to believe that Lu Changxing had fallen. Initially, upon hearing her master say that he had met with an accident and instructing her to check the soul lamp and lifebound token at by Lake Mountain, she had assumed the worst. Master, do we know what kind of anomaly occurred in the secret realm? And what kind of accident Changxing encountered? Lightly biting her lip, Xianxia asked softly. She stood there in a moon-white dress, her dark hair gently flowing, her breathtakingly beautiful face devoid of cosmetics, yet surpassing all mortal beauty. Her usually serene and detached eyes now rippled like a turbulent mountain spring, filled with waves of emotion. If the disciples of the Qingyun sect were to witness the usually aloof and cold fairy Shiyu, who was like the nine heavens' bright moon, caring so deeply for a man, their hearts would surely shatter, convinced they were hallucinating. Even Yun Wanshang, Xiaoxia's own master, couldn't help but sigh at the sight, wondering what kind of allure Lu Changxing possessed to have bewitched her disciple so thoroughly. The Tianyuan secret realm has collapsed. A corpse monster with power comparable to a nascent soul emerged. As Lu Changxing fled toward the exit, he was suddenly hunted by a core formation cultivator. His whereabouts are unknown, and he has not emerged from the secret realm. Yun Wanshang did not withhold anything and spoke plainly with her rosy lips. Hunted by a core formation cultivator. Xianxia furrowed her brows slightly, finding this rather puzzling. She continued to inquire, Master, why would Changxing be targeted by a core formation cultivator? And has this core formation cultivator emerged from the secret realm? What is their current status? The exact details, I am unsure of. The core formation cultivator has also not emerged from the secret realm, but we cannot rule out the possibility that he used some method to escape unnoticed. Yun Wanshang replied calmly. Though a heaven and earth net had been laid outside the secret realm, the emergence of a nascent soul true lord led to a chaotic battle, causing many measures to be destroyed, and perhaps, someone might have taken advantage of the situation to slip away. Sarch *the Nefire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Understood. Xianxia gently pursed her lips, deep in thought, believing that Lu Changxing was likely unharmed. Partly because of the trust she had placed in him over the years, and partly because she had faith in his abilities. No matter how brief his time in the core formation stage had been, she believed Lu Changxing was no ordinary core formation cultivator. Master, is senior sister safe? At that moment, Xianxia, recalling the anomaly in the secret realm, thought of her senior sister who was tasked with guarding the realm and voiced her concern. Your senior sister has also encountered an accident. Her situation is perilous, and her whereabouts are unknown. Yun Wanshang sighed deeply. How can this be? Xiaoxia's expression turned to one of shock. She hadn't expected that not only was Lu Changxing missing, but even her senior sister Chu Qingyi was now unaccounted for. If it were said that Lu Changxing, pursued by a core formation cultivator, was missing, with life or death uncertain, it might be understandable. But her senior sister, as a core formation true pill master of the Qingyun sect, should have been brought out of the secret realm by the Qingyun disciples or other core formation true pill masters, even if gravely injured or worse. Your senior sister was in a dire situation and was rescued by a sword cultivator. But who would have thought this sword cultivator would take her into the depths of the secret realm? When the realm collapsed and shattered, they did not emerge. Yun Wanshang's clear eyes flickered slightly as she spoke. If Qingyun's sect disciples hadn't witnessed the scene, she might even have suspected that true Master Lingfeng was deceiving her. A sword cultivator, venturing into the depths of the secret realm? Xiaoxia's cold, moonlit eyes stirred with a trace of peculiar emotion. Lu Changxing had disappeared. Her senior sister had disappeared. The core formation cultivator who pursued Lu Changxing had also vanished. Her senior sister had been rescued by a sword cultivator and was now missing. If that sword cultivator were Changxing, a thought emerged in Xiaoxia's mind, and everything seemed to suddenly make sense. After all, she was well aware that Lu Changxing had practiced sword Dao techniques in his early years. Although he later switched to cultivating other techniques, disguising himself as a sword cultivator should not be difficult, should it? She asked, Master, was that sword cultivator also a core formation cultivator? Why would he rescue senior sister? Yes, that person was a core formation cultivator. His methods appear to originate from a different nation's loose cultivators. As for why he rescued Qingyi, I have no idea. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1309, Yun Wanshang shook her head. This was also the part she couldn't figure out. Why would a core formation sword cultivator appear in the secret realm, and even go so far as to save Chu Qingyi? The only possibility she could think of was that the other party coveted her disciples' sword cultivation inheritance. At that moment, Yun Wanshang noticed that Xiaoxia didn't seem as grief-stricken anymore. Though Xiaoxia cultivated the supreme forgetful love technique, maintaining a serene state of mind unshaken by emotions, as her master, Yun Wanshang knew her well enough to understand that whenever her disciple mentioned Lu Changxing, she seemed like a completely different person. There was no way she could have calmed down so quickly. Could it be that Xia knew something? Knew that Lu Changxing was unharmed? Yun Wanshang's delicate brows furrowed slightly as she suddenly recalled an incident from years past. When Chu Qingyi was investigating matters related to the Xiahou family, she was hunted down by Xiahou Wuwa, poisoned by corpse toxins, and rescued by a loose cultivator named Han Li. Later, Yun Wanshang discovered that this so-called loose cultivator, Han Li, was actually Lu Changxing in disguise. Beyond this, she remembered Chu Qingyi once telling her that when this Han Li used sword qi to expel the poison for her, their sword hearts resonated, and he praised her for her extraordinary talent in the sword Dao. A sword cultivator. Lu Changxing was a sword cultivator. Could it be, Xia, do you know something? She fixed her gaze on her disciple and asked aloud. Under Yun Wanshang's penetrating stare, Xiaoxia felt as though her very soul was being laid bare. She knew her master had likely already deduced something by asking such a question. But she wasn't certain how much her master actually knew. Considering the gravity of Lu Changsheng's secret, she softly replied, Changxing once received a sword Dao inheritance. So I was thinking, the sword cultivator who rescued senior sister, could it perhaps be related to Changxing, related to Lu Changxing? Yun Wanshang looked at Xiaoxia before her, her gaze as deep and unfathomable as a pool. If this core formation sword cultivator was connected to Lu Changxing, or rather, was Lu Changxing himself, then that would be truly astonishing. She recalled the first time she met Lu Changxing years ago. At that time, he was merely a little cultivator at the 4th level energy refinement stage. Yet in just a few years, he had already reached the peak of qi refining, excelling in both the law body and Daoist body. By the 3rd time they met, he had achieved foundation establishment mid-stage cultivation. Now, decades had passed, and though his cultivation seemed stagnant on the surface, she had sensed during their dual cultivation sessions that he was hiding his true progress. He had likely long since broken through to the late stage of foundation establishment. But a breakthrough to core formation, wouldn't that be too incredible? Even if Lu Changxing were at the peak of foundation establishment, she might have been able to understand. But where would a mere clan cultivator like him acquire the core formation spiritual objects or a Daoist site to achieve core formation? Unless Lu Changxing possessed a heavenly spiritual root, or was in fact blessed with a supreme Taoist body, Yun Wanshang's mind raced for a moment before she turned to look at Xianxia and said, head to Bai Lake Mountain for now. She knew Xianxia likely had some knowledge but wasn't willing to reveal it, so she didn't press further and decided to seek others to divine the situation instead. Thank you, Master. Xianxia bit her lips softly, bowed respectfully, and turned into a streak of escape light as she departed Kaiyun Peak for Bai Lake Mountain. If this sword cultivator really is Lu Changxing, Yun Wanshang watched Xiaoxia's departing figure and recalled the time when she had been afflicted by the red phoenix karma fire, only to be saved by Lu Changxing, forging a deep connection between the two. Her disciple Xiaoxia had been ambushed and rescued by Lu Changxing, who, to repay the karmic debt for saving her life and aiding her cultivation, had offered to assist her own foundation establishment with her spiritual body, and then, just as the thought surfaced, Yun Wanshang dared not think further and shook her head to dispel the notion. Qingyun Sect, Ancestors Hall. CTH Novel, F. Iyer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Junior Brother Du, how is it? The Qingyun Sect leader and Yun Wanshang looked at the purple-robed elder before them and asked aloud. Phew. The purple-robed elder had a somewhat weary expression. Exhaling deeply, he cupped his hands slightly and said, Sect leader, a certain mysterious force is obscuring heaven's secrets. Even with the soul lamp, I am unable to divine true person Kinjia's whereabouts or situation. Obscuring heaven's secrets. The Qingyun Sect leader and Yun Wanshang exchanged glances, both seeing the gravity in each other's eyes. Although they didn't understand the art of divination, they knew that there were numerous methods in the world capable of interfering with or disrupting heavenly secrets. For heavenly secrets to be obscured meant that the place where Chu Qingyi was located had some unusual issues. With the collapse of the Tianyuan's secret realm, those trapped inside could potentially have been drawn into the Great Void. And the Great Void naturally had the chaotic property of obscuring heavenly secrets. Junior Brother Du, thank you for your efforts. The Qingyun Sect leader courteously spoke to the purple-robed elder, understanding that divinations and such matters couldn't be forced. The effort spent on calculating Chu Qingjia's situation had clearly consumed a significant amount of the elder's vitality, and he would require a long period of rest to recover. Sect leader, you are too kind. The purple-robed elder cupped his hands slightly and then took his leave. After the elder departed, the Qingyun Sect leader continued, Junior Sister Kaiyun, don't worry. I will immediately inform the Supreme Elder and request Senior Buswanzi to take action, making another attempt to divine Kinjia's situation. Divination, of course, had varying levels of mastery. Although this purple-robed elder was one of Qingyun Sect's top diviners, his skills were not particularly profound. Sect leader brother, there's no need for that. I will head to Heavenly Sword Sect later. If Qingyi has indeed been drawn into the Great Void, only a true monarch will be able to rescue her. Yun Wanshang shook her head and spoke decisively. Very well. The Qingyun Sect leader nodded, knowing that the Tianyuan's secret realm matter was primarily under the leadership of the Heavenly Sword Sect. Now that such an incident had occurred, it was both reasonable and necessary for Heavenly Sword Sect to assist. Moreover, the Xianjian true monarch from the Heavenly Sword Sect was not only a sword cultivator but also proficient in the art of divination. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1310, Bai Lake Mountain, Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. After Xiaoxia arrived at Bai Lake Mountain, she informed Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoge, and others about the Tianyuan secret realm and Lu Changsheng's situation. What? Changsheng is missing in the Tianyuan secret realm. How could this be? When Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaoyan heard this, their expressions grew solemn, their faces full of worry. Being chased by a nascent soul immortal? Ling Zixiao frowned slightly, her expression odd. Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaoyan might not understand Lu Changsheng's combat prowess and have always thought their husband was mild-tempered and not adept at violence. But she knew very well her husband's methods. At the initial stage of Foundation establishment, he had deployed talisman formations to suppress and kill 5 Foundation establishment cultivators. By the late stage of Foundation establishment, he could easily slaughter a false core immortal and calmly escape from a 3rd-rank demon king. Now, having broken through to core formation and condensed the immortal golden core, you say he's being chased by a nascent soul cultivator? If anything, the nascent soul cultivator should be the one being chased by her husband. Yes, but I heard from my master that a sword cultivator appeared in the secret realm and saved senior sister, so I suspect that this nascent soul sword cultivator is Changxing. However, at the time, the situation was urgent, and Changxing was unable to reveal his identity, so he took senior sister and left the secret realm. Xianxia continued, sharing her speculation, indicating to the other women not to worry too much. A nascent soul sword cultivator. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaoyan relaxed a little, but their beautiful eyes still showed hints of concern. Seriously injured, however, Ling Zixio's expression grew even stranger at these words. She thought, if this were true, wouldn't Lu Changxing returning mean another sister would join their ranks? After all, given her husband's incredible luck in romance and this classic hero-saving damsel scenario, it seemed unlikely for the two not to develop something more between them. Moreover, if this nascent soul sword cultivator truly was her husband, would he let go of this fairy Qing Yi? Ling Daoist, what's the matter? Xiaoxia felt Ling Zixio's gaze toward her was inexplicably strange and asked aloud. Nothing. My husband hasn't left behind a soul lamp, soul plate, or any life-bound artifact at home. Ling Zixio shook her head and said, however, she turned towards the cave heaven and respectfully called out, Senior Mount Sumru, do you know my husband's situation? The Mount Sumru Tree King was her husband's contracted spiritual beast, and the connection between the two might provide some clues. The master is unharmed, Mount Sumru replied. CTH Nell Fire. Enter website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. It had no master-servant contract with Lu Changxing. But the subtle connection between the two allowed it to sense that Lu Changxing was still alive. Phew. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyan, and Xiaoxia all breathed a sigh of relief. They say worry blinds the mind. Previously, they had all forgotten about Mount Sumru's existence. Thank you, Senior Mount Sumru. Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, and the other women expressed their gratitude. Although Mount Sumru Tree King was their husband's spiritual pet, as a 3rd-rank demon king, they still showed respect. Knowing Lu Changxing was safe calmed Xiaoxia considerably as she went to Changxing Hall to retrieve Lu Changxing's frequently used talisman brush, preparing to return and report. However, just before departing to fulfill her mission, she thought for a moment and decided to bring Lu Miaoge and Lu Qingxian along to Qingyun sect. On the one hand, they could use the bloodline connection between Lu Qingxian and Lu Changxing to estimate his general situation. On the other hand, considering Lu Changxing had encountered trouble in the Tianyuan secret realm, if he delayed his return, other family forces might test or provoke them. Lu Miaoge, as the lady of the Lu family, visiting Qingyun sect in Kaiyun Peak, would also send a message to the outside world, possibly serving as a deterrent. Miaoyun, once news of the Tianyuan secret realm spreads, rumors about my husband's situation will certainly circulate among the opportunists. Since the family's commerce is just starting to gain traction, notify Lu Yun and Xingyang to prepare in advance. Meanwhile, Ling Zixiao also addressed Lu Miaoyun. Sister Ling, I understand. Lu Miaoyun nodded gently, responding. Though her demeanor was fresh and lively, like a playful maiden, years of managing internal affairs for the Lu family had shaped her into a woman of refined elegance and noble grace. Lu Miaoge and Xiaoxia piloted their spirit boat and gently landed outside Qingyun sect's mountain gates. So this is Qingyun sect? Lu Qingxian looked curiously at the cloud-covered, ethereal peaks and the radiant, misty scenery of Qingyun sect. Bai Lake Mountain wasn't far from Qingyun sect, yet he had never been here. Yes. Lu Miaoge, her face gentle and her demeanor fluid like water, gave her son a brief introduction to Qingyun sect. However, she had only visited twice before and wasn't very familiar with the sect herself. Uncle Master Xiao. Seeing Xianxia, the disciples at the mountain gate immediately bowed and greeted her. Xianxia's expression remained cool and noble as she nodded slightly and led Lu Miaoga and Lu Qingxian into Qingyun sect, heading toward Kaiyun Peak. Master. She reached the palace at the summit and paid her respects. Yun Wanshang, seeing Lu Miaoga outside, was struck by a strange sense of unease. She recalled how she had cultivated the virtuous woman reincarnation technique years ago, entering the soul path dreams of Lu Changsheng and Lu Miaoga, and there, intertwined with Lu Miaoga, though it was merely a dream, the experience had left an impression on her. Sigh. Yun Wanshang felt a vague sense of agitation. If Lu Changsheng were truly in danger or had an accident, she wouldn't just be unable to face Xianxia but would also be ashamed before the Lu family and Lu Miaoga. I hope that little scoundrel is all right. Yun Wanshang took a deep breath, suppressed her miscellaneous thoughts, and walked out of the palace. Greetings, Elder Kaiyun. Lu Miaoga promptly bowed respectfully alongside her son. Yun Wanshang nodded slightly. Taking the talisman brush from Xiaoxia's hands, she raised her palm lightly and led Lu Qingxian toward Elder Du to deduce Lu Changsheng's situation. As Lu Miaoga watched Kaiyun True Immortal leave, for some reason, she found the departing figure vaguely familiar. Yet she knew this was her first time meeting Kaiyun True Immortal. She had never seen her before. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 13:11. However, the other party's body and face seemed to be shrouded in an ethereal divine aura, indistinct and veiled, making it impossible to see their true appearance. What is your name? Yun Wanshang gazed at Lu Qingxian, whose appearance perfectly inherited the likeness of Lu Changsheng and Lu Miaoga, and felt a sudden sense of closeness in her heart. Her voice softened as she spoke. Reporting to the true immortal, my name is Lu Qingxian. Lu Qingxian looked at Yun Wanshang, whose entire being emanated a glowing radiance and an invisible aura of oppression. Although slightly restrained, he maintained composure and respectfully clasped his hands in salute. Lu Qingxian. Yun Wanshang nodded slightly and asked aloud, the Qingyun sect opens its mountain gates once every 5 years to recruit new disciples. If you are willing, I can grant you the status of an inner sect disciple directly. Although she did not know Lu Qingxuan's talent level, she could infer from his cultivation level that his spiritual root was not only adequate but possibly exceptional. Therefore, if he was willing to join the Qingyun sect, she was also willing to extend some favor. Thank you for your kindness, true immortal. I will need to ask my parents before deciding. Lu Qingxian was somewhat flattered but did not give a direct answer. Very well. Yun Wanshang did not press further. She brought Lu Qingxian to a mountain peak. A moment later, an elder in a purple robe stepped out to greet them. Upon hearing Yun Wanshang's intention, he took up the talisman brush, extracted a drop of Lu Qingxuan's essence blood, and performed a technique with hand gestures to divine his fate. So this is the art of divination. Lu Qingxian watched Elder Du with serious eyes. The 100 arts of cultivation were vast and profound. Of these, the art of divination counted as one of the most mysterious. However, such inheritance was exceedingly rare, with only a few individuals able to master it. He had only read about it in books and had never witnessed it before. After a long while. Kaiyun True Immortal, this person's fate is also shrouded by a force that obscures heaven's secrets, making it difficult to deduce his circumstances. Elder Du shook his head and said. When divining Chu Qingyi earlier, he had expended considerable essence, qi, and spirit. Now, while divining Lu Changsheng, he felt a resistance, a veiling of heaven's secrets, and chose not to continue. Elder Du, thank you for your hard work. Yun Wanshang nodded and said. Her purpose in divining Lu Changsheng's situation was twofold. First, to see whether she could uncover useful clues or information about him. Secondly, she wanted to understand if his circumstances were similar to her disciple Chu Qingji's. Now, hearing this result, her expression subtly tensed. She thought to herself, is that nascent soul sword cultivator truly Lu Changsheng? Otherwise, why would her disciple Chu Qingyi be concealed from heaven's secrets, and Lu Changxing too? Furthermore, she had given Lu Changxing a token sealed with divine skills many years ago. If the token were activated, she would be able to sense it through mysterious connections. Yet, she had not felt the token being activated, which indicated Lu Changxing was likely not in grave danger. Yun Wanshang did not dwell further on the matter. She turned to Lu Qingxian, lightly flicked her jade-like fingers, and a jade talisman fell before him. She spoke aloud, "If in the future you wish to join the Qingyun sect, you may use this to contact me." Currently, with Lu Changsheng's whereabouts uncertain, Bai Lake Mountain was likely to face some trouble. Though she would not personally intervene in such matters, she was willing to offer some backing. This jade talisman served as a gesture of support. If Bai Lake Mountain did encounter trouble, as long as Lu Qingxian or Lu Miaoga presented this jade talisman, it would serve as an external deterrent. This junior thanks the true immortal. Lu Qingxian, though unsure why this nascent soul true immortal regarded him so highly, was still overjoyed and respectfully clasped his hands in salute. Very well. After returning to Kaiyun Peak with Lu Qingxian, Yun Wanshang explained the situation briefly to Xiao Xia before heading to the Heavenly Sword sect, transforming into a streak of rainbow light and leaving the Qingyun sect. "Xia, I recall Xingyue and Yun Lu are at the Qingyun sect. If convenient, I wish to visit them." At this moment, Lu Miaoga spoke aloud. "Sir, the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality." As the aunt of Xingyue and Yun Lu, now that she was at the Qingyun sect, it was only proper to show care and concern. Besides, her husband had encountered such an incident, and it was possible the news might reach the two of them. She should also remind them to focus on their foundation establishment and not worry about family affairs. "All right." Xiao Xia nodded, leading Lu Miaoga to visit the two of them, and afterwards to see Zhao Qingqing. "Mother, earlier Kaiyun True Immortal asked if I was willing to join the Qingyun sect." When Lu Miaoga left the Qingyun sect and returned to Bai Lake Mountain with Lu Qingxian, he took out the jade talisman from Kaiyun True Immortal and spoke. Lu Miaoga was pleasantly surprised, not expecting her son to be highly valued by Kaiyun True Immortal. Although her husband believed their children had no need to join immortal sects, the fact that her son was proactively regarded by the True Immortal still moved her heart. However, recalling the past events concerning her son Lu Qingshan and daughter Lu Qingzhu, she calmed herself and decided to wait for Lu Changsheng's return before making a decision. "Mother, the True Immortal bestowed this jade talisman upon me, which surely shows favor toward our family. Just recently, Father had taken the role of guest elder at Kaiyun Peak, and now he encountered unexpected danger in the Tianyuan secret realm." At this moment, Lu Qingxian pursed his lips and spoke softly. Lu Miaoga felt her heart tremble upon hearing this. Her expression softened as she gently stroked her son's head, murmuring, "Xianer, don't worry. Your father will be fine, absolutely fine." Within the Tianyuan lotus, there were no sun, moon, or stars, no day and night to alternate. Lu Changsheng and Chu Qingyi engaged in endless intimacy and dual cultivation. The two almost forgot time, forgot themselves, and became wholly intertwined. Throughout this process, Chu Qingyi's condition gradually improved. Her stunningly beautiful face was no longer deathly pale but gained a warmer flush. "Lu Daoist," at this moment, Chu Qingyi spoke softly, indicating that she was already much better. "No rush, nascent soul origin is still sufficient, let's be cautious." Lu Changsheng gazed at the mesmerizing elegance of the woman before him and replied. At first, his sole focus had been on helping her recover, leaving no time to fully appreciate the unparalleled beauty of this sword immortal child. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 13:12. Now that the situation has stabilized, we can naturally take a moment to admire it. Chu Qingyi's face flushed crimson, her delicate body trembling as she closed her beautiful eyes. Yet the more reserved she appeared, the more Lu Changxing couldn't resist teasing her, causing her delicate nose to emit soft hums, her expression a mix of embarrassment and vexation. To be honest, seeing the ordinarily cool and heroic sword immortal child like this, shy and bashful, was utterly captivating. If something were missing, it was only that there was just one person present. If Shi Yu or even Kaiyun true immortal were here as well, Qing Yi, core formation is dangerous, and we mustn't allow the slightest negligence. What we're doing is all for healing and core formation. In my heart, fairy, you are still, pure and untouched like jade. Lu Changxing spoke gently, looking at the beauty before him. Chu Qingyi, her misty eyes opening and closing, caught sight of Lu Changsheng's tender and affectionate gaze. Her heart swelled with embarrassment and annoyance, and even a trace of speechlessness. Had already done this to her and still claimed she was pure and untouched. If this was truly for healing and core formation, what were his hands busy doing? However, the normally sharp-edged sword immortal child was now like an ostrich, only daring to ponder such thoughts internally, without voicing them aloud. After all, in this sort of situation, the shame was unbearable. Qing Yi, your complexion has improved a lot. Looking at you, you'll probably just need a few more days of healing before starting core formation. Don't worry, with me here, you'll definitely succeed in forming your core, a superior gold core. Lu Changxing looked at the frowning fairy before him and continued, gently caressing her soft and smooth, flushed yet pale cheeks. Chu Qingyi pressed her lips without speaking, her face so red it resembled the morning glow. Humiliated and agitated, she turned her disheveled-haired head to the side. Clearly, Lu Changsheng's words had thrown her mind into disarray and made it hard for her to compose herself. Time crept forward moment by moment. Seeing that Chu Qingji's condition had stabilized, Lu Changxing didn't delay any longer and began assisting her with core formation. After all, if he delayed further, the nascent soul origin that he had refined or the healing effects might dissipate, potentially missing the opportune moment for core formation. Boom! Lu Changxing drove the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to its limits, integrating the Sun-Moon cauldron floating above his head into Chu Qingji's Qi ocean core. Huff, 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 at the same time, nature's spiritual energy surged and poured into Chu Qingji's physical body. Even though Chu Qingyi had previously been a nascent soul immortal, now undergoing core formation again after dissolving her previous core, she still faced the 3 gates of core formation. Given Chu Qingji's current state, it was naturally difficult for her to endure such an infusion of nature's spiritual energy. But during their earlier dual cultivation, Lu Changxing had already transferred nascent soul origin into her meridians and core, as well as the Sun-Moon cauldron. Thus, he directly repelled the influx of nature's spiritual energy, allowing only a small portion to enter Chu Qingji's body, then absorbed the rest himself to refine into spiritual energy for her. Meanwhile, Yun Wanshang had arrived at the Heavenly Sword sect. After stating her purpose, she was invited to a grand hall to wait. Yun Wanshang took out Chu Qingji's soul lamp from her bosom and glanced at it. The once dim and faint soul lamp, like a candle clinging to life in the wind, now appeared significantly brighter. However, the flickering soul fire still betrayed Chu Qingji's unstable condition. Qing Yi has escaped danger? Yun Wanshang gazed at the soul lamp in her hand, a joyful expression lighting up her face. Daoist Kaiyun. A moment later, a man neither tall nor short, neither fat nor thin, with a face that appeared somewhat ordinary yet carried an air of masculine charm with a hint of feminine refinement, approached. His loose snow-white robes, worn elegantly, hung at his waist with a simple green long sword, evoking a sense of purity, white jade untainted by dust. But as soon as he stepped into the grand hall, Yun Wanshang sensed the entire space enveloped by an invisible gravity. Greetings, true monarch. Yun Wanshang bent at the waist and paid her respects. Even though the 4 great immortal sects shared close ties, as one of the Qingyun sect's peak masters with a core formation late-stage cultivation level, Yun Wanshang dared not show even the slightest disrespect before this nascent soul true lord. Daoist, I already know the reason for your visit. Have you brought your disciple's soul lamp? Xianjian true monarch's voice was calm and warm, devoid of any sword cultivator's sharpness. Yun Wanshang handed the soul lamp from her bosom to Xianjian true monarch. Taking the lamp in hand, its flame flickered softly as Xianjian true monarch began to manipulate calculations, a gaze that alternated between soft serenity, steady gravity, lively brilliance, and commanding austerity flashing across his ordinary yet striking face. A moment later, his expression settled into tranquil composure, his lips forming a faint smile as he said, "Daoist Kaiyun, indeed your disciple was marked by a terribly ominous fate. Yet misfortune and fortune interweave, calamity breeds opportunity. If she can overcome this tribulation and turn peril into safety, shall meet a most auspicious fate. For now, your disciple has emerged from the most threatening situation. Whether her future holds misfortune or fortune will depend on her own destiny. If we were to intervene, it might upset her fate." Xianjian True Monarch spoke in a calm, measured tone. "Thank you, True Monarch." Yun Wanshang visibly relaxed upon hearing these words. Although divination techniques do not yield absolute precision and only offer blurred insights, the True Monarch's words suggested it would be best not to interfere. Otherwise, meddling with destiny could introduce complications and unforeseen changes potentially leading to calamity for Chu Qingyi. "Daoist Kaiyun, there's no need to thank me. Were it not for your discovery of the Tianyuan's secret realm, Juejin might never have successfully broken through to nascent soul." Xianjian True Monarch said with a calm demeanor. Sar the Oval Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 13:13. The vast lake stretched endlessly, and a crystalline blue-green lotus seat drifted amidst the waves. Sometimes it sank to the depths of the sea, sometimes it floated back to the surface. Occasionally, demon beasts spotted this lotus seat, attacking it viciously or swallowing it whole. But soon after, the lotus seat would bloom with spiritual light, emanating a terrifying magic aura that left the beasts bleeding and defeated. At this moment, within the lotus seat, huff, 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 the spiritual energy of heaven and earth surged wildly, forming a vortex akin to a breach, saturating the air with overwhelming spiritual pressure. If this goes on, attempting to condense a superior golden core will be exceedingly difficult. Lu Changxing was channeling the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to assist Chu Qingyi in reforming her core. However, he realized that continuing this way would make it near impossible for her to condense a superior golden core. Even if she managed to condense one by a stroke of luck, it could at best be a third-grade core. Could I directly refine nature's spiritual energy into 7 luminaries mana and then merge it with her mana? Lately, an idea emerged in Lu Changsheng's mind. Years ago, when he was detoxifying Chu Qingyi, the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture resonated mysteriously with her cultivation technique and Dao foundation. This indicated that the two techniques shared similar characteristics and were not mutually exclusive. Moreover, his cultivation technique, the Yin-Yang creation classic, possessed the power to unify and coordinate various forces. If that were the case, he could directly refine nature's spiritual energy into 7 luminaries mana and transfer it into Chu Qingyi's Qi ocean core. Through the Yin-Yang creation classic, he could harmonize the two forces, which would enormously boost the efficiency of core formation. Though such a thought sounded utterly absurd, the more Lu Changxing pondered, the more feasible it seemed. After all, when he had condensed the Yin-Yang 5 elements Dao foundation years ago, he faced imbalances in Yin and Yang. Yet he had relied on Yun Wanshang's spirit-nurturing energy to achieve perfect harmony. Qingyi. Without hesitation, Lu Changxing shared his idea with Chu Qingyi. Chu Qingyi, upon hearing this, found it utterly inconceivable. It wasn't just about cultivation techniques sharing similar traits. Even practitioners of identical techniques would see uneven mana following breakthroughs in foundation establishment and core formation, making perfect fusion difficult. Yet, inexplicably, she instinctively chose to trust Lu Changxing and agreed to let him act. On one hand, she knew he harbored no ill intentions toward her, his suggestion must stem from confidence. On the other hand, her emotions were already tangled beyond measure, leaving her unsure of how to face Lu Changxing, or her junior sister. Afterward, all right, Chu Qingyi's face flushed crimson as she resigned herself to the possibility of failure. At least if she failed, she wouldn't have to confront Lu Changxing, or her junior sister. Qingyi, don't worry. Lu Changsheng, evidently aware of her thoughts, gently stroked her soft, rosy cheek and spoke tenderly. Then, carefully channeling the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture, he transferred a portion of 7 luminaries' mana into Chu Qinjia's meridians and Qi ocean core. Though the two forces shared similarities, they indeed struggled to fuse. Especially since Chu Qingyi was currently forming her core. If the 7 luminaries' mana accidentally merged into the embryonic inner core, it might result in chaotic mana and ultimately cause core formation failure. Lu Changsheng began channeling the Yin-Yang creation classic, attempting to meld the two forces. Under the harmonizing guidance of the Yin-Yang creation classic, the 7 luminaries' mana seamlessly fused into Chu Qinjia's embryonic inner core, integrating flawlessly and gradually merging as one. This, Chu Qinjia's misty, mesmerized eyes opened wide with wonder, gazing at Lu Changsheng in astonishment, longing to understand how he accomplished this. This was astonishing. Utterly unbelievable. Qingyi, if you feel unimpeded, I shall continue. Lu Changsheng's warm gaze locked onto Chu Qinjia's hazy, shy eyes as he spoke softly. Chu Qinjia's heart skipped a beat under his intimate gaze, her emotions swirling uncontrollably. She hastily turned her head, tightly closed her eyes, and avoided looking at Lu Changsheng, her face awash with embarrassment. Lu Changsheng sighed inwardly. He thought this fairy Qingyi was far too easily embarrassed. Despite their growing closeness, she remained so shy and reserved. Qingyi. Lu Changsheng reached out to pinch her smooth, snowy cheek, signaling that he would continue if she had no objections. Chu Qingyi let out a soft hum. Does mean yes or no? Lu Changsheng asked with a smile. Chu Qingyi pressed her lips together, silent, her dazzling eyes opening slightly to glare at Lu Changsheng in annoyed embarrassment. This man, despite appearing gentlemanly, acted so shamelessly. The Novelier. N.E.T. website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Ignoring him didn't deter his teasing, instead, he persisted, intentionally trying to make her speak in these mortifying situations. No problem. Chu Qingyi bit her lip lightly and mumbled. Her typically clear and soothing voice now trembled slightly, tinged with emotion and allure. Very well, this husband understands. Lu Changsheng laughed, responding cheerfully. He thought to himself, though Qingyi exuded an icy demeanor, once her heart melted, she would undoubtedly prove a devoted wife and mother. He wondered whether she liked children. Chu Qingyi shifted her head aside, refusing to engage in his conversation, convinced that this man was becoming increasingly brazen. First, he addressed her intimately as Qingyi, now, he audaciously referred to himself as her husband. They had only met twice. During their first meeting, she had been disguised. And yet, he was already so familiar and presumptuous. Chu Qingyi couldn't fathom how thick-skinned this man was. Or perhaps how many other women he had treated this way to become so practiced and effortless. Lu Changsheng didn't mind Chu Qinjia's attitude. After all, their relationship lacked emotional depth, requiring time and interaction for feelings to develop. Nonetheless, despite teasing her, Lu Changsheng never neglected his responsibilities. As he channeled the 7 luminaries' mana into Chu Qinjia's Qi ocean core, a radiant sun emerged at his brow, illuminating the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 13-14, Qingyi. He called out, his soul gradually enveloping Chu Qingyi, attempting to pass on the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture to her through soul fusion. Although she couldn't switch to cultivating this technique for now. The two techniques held common attributes, and perhaps they could interweave, complement each other, and achieve mastery through mutual integration. Chu Qingyi felt a tremor in her heart, seeing a golden soul envelop her own. Then countless Tao patterns surged into her mind, transforming into incomparably profound Tao and truths. 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture. Chu Qingyi looked at this profound and intricate cultivation technique, utterly at a loss for words. Lu Changsheng not only spared no effort in saving her life, helping her to form her core, but also revealed various secrets to her. Now he was selflessly passing down this extraordinary technique to her. She truly couldn't comprehend why Lu Changxing was so good to her. Love at first sight, perhaps. Chu Qingyi recalled Lu Changxing's earlier words, and deep within her heart, a soft chord seemed to be struck. She felt nervous, moved, and fluttered. Her misty, enchanting eyes became momentarily dazed. A person does not have a heart of stone, who can remain unaffected. Though she usually devoted herself solely to cultivation and sword practice, rarely moved by others. At this moment, she too was touched by Lu Changsheng's selfless and unconditional actions. However, thinking about Lu Changsheng's relationship with her junior sister, she sighed slightly. Though she was unclear about the specifics of their relationship. But the fact that he had cultivated the Sun-Moon Samsara technique to such a degree indicated that his relationship with her junior sister was already extraordinary, even recognized by her master. Under such circumstances, as a senior sister, how could she intervene in her junior sister's feelings? Moreover, it would be unseemly for senior and junior sisters to marry the same man. It would not only tarnish the sex reputation, but also invite criticism and potentially anger their master. Chu Qingyi was now utterly conflicted. Qingyi, focus on comprehending the technique and concentrate on forming your core. At this time, as the soul fusion continued, Lu Changxing vaguely sensed some of Chu Qingyi's thoughts and spoke out. Chu Qingyi, hearing these words, felt her heart tremble, her face flushing with embarrassment. As a nascent soul immortal, she naturally understood that during such soul communication, their thoughts could easily be perceived. She immediately held her breath and centered her mind, both comprehending the seven luminaries' great freedom sword scripture and continuing her core formation. However, she was able to multitask like this mainly because most of the core formation process was being handled by Lu Changxing, leaving her only to stabilize the inner core's nascent form. Such an exquisite cultivation technique, Chu Qingyi's Qingyun sword technique was merely a peripheral sect-level cultivation method. It wasn't that Qingyun sect didn't possess orthodox-level cultivation techniques. Rather, it was because she was born with a sword heart, and resonated better with sword Dao cultivation methods. However, Qingyun sect wasn't a sword cultivator sect, so it lacked top-tier sword Dao inheritances. Of course, the Qingyun sword technique, being one of Qingyun sect's sect-defining cultivation methods, was naturally of the highest caliber. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to resonate with the seven luminaries' sword scripture. At this moment, various insights from the seven luminaries' sword scripture flooded into her mind, granting her large gains as she instinctively activated the cultivation technique and interwove the seven luminaries' great freedom sword scripture with the Qingyun sword technique. Humming, 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 a moment later, within Chu Qingyi's Qi ocean core, amidst the nascent inner core form, two harmonized streams of mana produced a mysterious resonance. My goodness, is this the caliber of a prodigy from an immortal sect? Lu Changxing was astonished upon seeing this. Although the two techniques had many similarities. The fact that she was able to comprehend the technique the moment he passed it down, intertwine the techniques, and achieve mastery through mutual integration was simply too incredible. Lu Changxing felt that Chu Qingyi's talent in sword Dao wasn't inferior to his son Lu Qingshan's, and her comprehension might even surpass his. Qingyi, you're amazing. Lu Changxing praised aloud. Since she could harmonize her mana and achieve a balanced resonance between energies on her own, forming a superior golden core would now be much simpler. Upon hearing the praise, which sounded like one might encourage a child, Chu Qingyi's heart trembled. She was overwhelmed by embarrassment. Her memory took her back to her childhood, when her master would coax her like this. But now, wasn't she a fully grown adult? Moreover, this person was actually younger than her, yet now he treated her like a child, yet she knew she must not argue with this rogue. Otherwise, who knows what shameless words might escape his lips. Chu Qingyi shut her enchanting eyes tightly, her pale cheeks now flushed scarlet, as she tried to focus completely on breaking through to forming her core. While Lu Changxing assisted Chu Qingyi in forming her core. A piece of shocking news spread throughout the Jianghu country cultivation realm. A prominent expert of the Heavenly Sword sect, Absolute Sword True Person Yin Jianfeng, broke through to nascent soul. Furthermore, during the opening of the Tianyuan secret realm, the heavenly fiend Jianghu of Liang country's heavenly slaughter sect led an ambush. He ended up being ambushed by Xianjian True Monarch and Absolute Sword True Monarch, his physical body destroyed, only his nascent soul narrowly escaped. The news was astonishing. On one hand, after several hundred years, the Heavenly Sword sect produced another nascent soul True Monarch, solidifying its undisputed dominance of Jiang country. On the other hand, the fact that two nascent soul True Monarchs from the Heavenly Sword sect nearly slew a fellow nascent soul monarch was remarkable. It's well known that at the nascent soul level, killing someone else is extraordinarily difficult. Especially considering that the heavenly fiend Jianghu was an established, renowned veteran nascent soul cultivator. Now, however, his physical body was destroyed, and only his nascent soul spirit body barely managed to escape. Liang country and Yu country have long clashed. For the heavenly fiend Jianghu to come here this time, he likely intended to disrupt Jiang country and provoke a cultivation world war with Yu country. With his physical body destroyed, it's unlikely he'll recover in less than 30 to 50 years. Not just that, I heard the heavenly fiend Jianghu relied on a secret technique to escape by merging into the void with his nascent soul. It might take him 100 years to fully recover. Sea the Oval Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 13:15, as expected of Xianjian True Monarch, who once held off two nascent soul true lords from Jin Kingdom single-handedly, and now almost killed heavenly fiend Jianghu with absolute sword True Monarch. After this battle, Liang country and Yu country will probably remain quiet for some time. This news, although sensational, only circulated among the upper echelons of the cultivation world. Ordinary qi refining loose cultivators were completely unaware of such matters. However, while some rejoiced, others were saddened. Besides these two sensational pieces of news in Jiang country's upper circles, many family forces received bad news. Their family patriarch or nascent soul seed had fallen in the Tianyuan secret realm. Lu family ancestor, Lu Changxing, was hunted by a nascent soul immortal in the Tianyuan secret realm and died within the realm. Indeed, this is absolutely true. My seventh uncle's cousin is the ancestor of the Jin family at Golden Dragon Ridge, and he confirmed it. I heard the Sima family at Profound Martial Ridge also vouched for the truth of this matter. Shortly after, news about Lu Changxing of Blue Lake Mountain spread rapidly in the Qingyun region. This news instantly attracted attention from various family forces, coming to Blue Lake Mountain to verify its authenticity. Faced with this situation, Lu Miaogo was already prepared, and the first to dispel the rumors outwardly. She even showed the soul lamp of her husband to some acquainted family patriarchs. The unextinguished soul lamp indicated that Lu Changxing was still alive. That same day, Lu Wangshu went to White Tiger Mountain, found her elder brother Lu Pin gone, took the 9 Netherhound, and headed towards Golden Dragon Ridge. Boom! Lu Wangshu directly unleashed a third-rank talisman against the Jin family's mountain gate, causing the great formation at Golden Dragon Ridge to rumble violently and spiritual light to flicker. Though my father had some unexpected encounters in the secret realm, he will return soon. If your Jin family dares to provoke or spread rumors again, my Blue Lake Mountain will level your Golden Dragon Ridge. Lu Wangshu, dressed in a pink and white skirt, with blue silk hair flowing elegantly, appeared like cold jade under the scorching sun, stood tall on the green jade Luan bird, and said coldly, "Level my Golden Dragon Ridge?" Such arrogance. A Jin family elder shouted coldly but did not come out to face the enemy, merely activated the family's great formation. Months ago, Lady of the Lu family, Ling Zixiao, set up formations, and alongside Lu family's eldest son Lu Pingan, they suppressed Patriarch Sima of the Sima family, Sima Tong. The talisman formation technique of this talisman fairy, if compared to the Lady of the Lu family, is perhaps not inferior in the slightest, possibly even better. At this moment, with the brother and sister duo arriving, the Jin family was indeed not a match in direct confrontation. Even if ancestor Jin Zan accepted the challenge, if he got trapped in the formation, he might meet the same fate as Patriarch Sima. If you do not believe, feel free to try. Lu Wangshu, with a tall and elegant demeanor and exceptionally delicate appearance, looked calmly at Golden Dragon Ridge and spoke, not a trace of pretense. Tell Jin Zan, back in the day, my parents could easily suppress him. Today, my brother and I can do the same. If he is not afraid of death, feel free to come out and try. After saying this, Lu Wangshu turned to Lu Pingan and said, let's go, big brother. Then, without even glancing at Golden Dragon Ridge, she rode away on the green jade Luan bird, leaving with her brother Lu Pingan and the 9 Netherhound. CTH Novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Damn it. Amir Jr. dares to insult my Jean family in such a manner. This is outrageous. The Jean family elder watched the two leave peacefully, his face extremely unsightly. Lu Wangshu's behavior and words were a blatant slap in the face. By slapping their Jean family's face, they were establishing their might. I didn't expect the Lu family to be so assertive. With Lu Pingan and Lu Wangshu, even if Lu Chongqing really fell outside, it's difficult to shake the position of the false core family of Blue Lake Mountain. Alas, what virtue or ability does Lu Chongqing possess to have such a pair of children? The momentum of the Lu family in Blue Lake Mountain is already established. After this news spread, many nearby family forces sighed. Knowing that unless the Sima family of Profound Marshall Ridge, or the Yuan family of Great Ape Mountain, completely fell out with Blue Lake Mountain and went to war. Otherwise, even without Lu Chongqing, the current power of Blue Lake Mountain is not something ordinary forces could provoke. And not long after, another piece of news spread. Jin family ancestor Jin Zan was also seriously injured in the Tianyuan secret realm, thus not daring to come out to fight. I wonder if this Jin family ancestor is truly injured or just feigning injury. I heard that ancestor Jin was indeed injured, but it's not too severe. I wonder if the Sima family would still act against Blue Lake Mountain. Things between the two families ceased not long ago. Even if the Sima family wanted to act, they wouldn't do it openly. Now, with Blue Lake Mountain owning 4 spirit lands and establishing a chamber of commerce, relying on Lu Pingan and Lu Wangshu alone might not hold the position. Although Lu Pingan and Lu Wangshu retaliated strongly, the disturbances were not yet settled. Many family forces paid attention to the situation at Blue Lake Mountain, wanting to see if the Lu family had the ability to stabilize the current situation. After all, many families had good relations with the Lu family not only because of Lu Pingan's false core level combat power but also due to Lu Chongqing, the 3rd-ranked talisman master. Meanwhile, at the Heavenly Sword sect, Lu family's eldest son, Lu Pingan of Blue Lake Mountain, at such a young age achieved quasi-3rd-order body refining, and alongside the lady of the Lu family, Ling Zixiao, suppressed Sima family patriarch, Sima Tong at Profound Marshall Ridge, a woman about 26 or 27, with slender eyes and bright lips, whose face was charming and heroic, and tied a high ponytail, heard the news, and slightly frowned. Blue Lake Mountain, Lu Pingan, she pursed her bright lips, went to the Heaven Net Tower of the sect, took out her identity jade, and asked aloud, is there detailed information on Blue Lake Mountain? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1316, Bihu Mountain. 40 years ago, the Lu family ancestor, Lu Chongqing, seized it from the Yu family and established the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, where his family, Qini, focused on the jade slip in her hand, which contained information about Bihu Mountain. When she saw only a brief mention about the Lu family's eldest son, Lu Pingan, she asked aloud, Senior brother, is there any detailed information about Bihu Mountain's Lu Pingan? Bihu Mountain, Lu Pingan? Junior sister, wait a moment. Moments later, a disciple from Tianwang Tower handed her a jade slip containing the information. The content inside about Lu Pingan was sparse, covering only his physical appearance, identity, and current combat strength. As for his personal history, there were only 2 items: defeating the Tao family patriarch and the Sima family patriarch. It's indeed him, Sar the Novelier. website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. When Qin Yi saw the tall, robust, and stalwart-looking young man detailed in the jade slip, her expression froze momentarily, and she lightly pressed her lips together. Years ago, after parting ways with Lu Pingan, she began her journey toward the Heavenly Sword sect. Now that she thought about it, she truly was like an untamed calf unafraid of tigers in those days. At the 4th level of Qi refinement, she dared to travel alone from the Qingyun region to the Heavenly Sword sect to seek apprenticeship. If not for the stack of talismans and 3 bottles of elixirs Lu Pingan had given her upon parting, she probably would have perished halfway there. Even so, it was sheer luck that she encountered an elder from the Heavenly Sword sect. Otherwise, joining the Heavenly Sword sect was nearly impossible. Not only did he succeed in embarking on the path of cultivation, but he has also grown to such an extent. It seems he must have some kind of latent spiritual root, or even a spiritual body. It was just that his spiritual root was dormant back then, which prevented him from cultivating. Looking at the depiction of Lu Pingan in the jade slip, Qin Yi murmured softly, her heart both relieved and at peace. After their parting that year, a sense of emptiness lingered in her heart, and she felt an urge to find Lu Pingan. But since they had parted, they had no way of contacting each other. Moreover, in her youth, she was also determined to find a way for him to cultivate despite being immortal. Yet, when she arrived at the Heavenly Sword sect and gradually gained understanding of cultivation, she finally understood the weight behind the words, the divide between immortals and mortals. In the world of cultivation, there indeed exist heavenly and earthly treasures capable of granting mortals spiritual roots. However, such treasures are exceedingly rare. Even nascent soul immortals and true lords may not be in possession of them. Still, she did not give up. After breaking through to Foundation establishment, she journeyed out of the sect, battling demons and slaying evildoers while seeking news regarding such matters. But 20 years passed with no significant leads. Who would have thought, upon returning to the sect, she would hear news of Lu Pingan starting his cultivation journey and advancing to such a level? An overwhelming sense of relief and joy filled her heart, making her feel as though her very soul was unburdened. So, back then, the one who entered the Purple Shadow secret realm was him. At this point, Qin Yi's willow-like brows arched slightly as she recalled her encounter with Ping in the Purple Shadow secret realm. At the time, her intuition told her that the person was indeed Lu Pingan. However, the other party denied it, and the notion of a mortal engaging in cultivation at the time seemed too preposterous for her to fully believe. Now, seeing that Lu Pingan had set out on the path of cultivation and had likely achieved quasi-third-tier body refining, her suspicions were finally confirmed. Why didn't he acknowledge me? Qin Yi's brows furrowed slightly, her hand gripping the jade slip with strength. I see. He must have disguised his identity to enter the Purple Shadow secret realm, which implies he didn't want to reveal himself. Furthermore, judging by appearances, he has been concealing his strength all along. Qin Yi's thoughts turned to the details about Lu Pingan's life and background. She surmised that Lu Pingan's latent talent likely awakened later, prompting his family to keep him hidden and low profile. After all, in family factions, such situations were not uncommon. A top-tier genius emerging from a small family force was often kept secret until their growth, to prevent other families from neutralizing the threat. But why hasn't he written a single letter to me since? Biting her lip lightly, Qin Yi fell silent. If Ping was indeed Lu Pingan, then despite her having clearly informed him that she was at the Heavenly Sword sect, why hadn't she received even a single letter? She didn't dwell further on the matter and decided to head to Bihu Mountain to meet Lu Pingan and get to the bottom of it. After so many years, the regrets of her youth had carved themselves into her very being. The memories after their parting, guilt, longing, and bittersweet affection, had fermented for decades, turning those early years into a vivid yet distant dream, now an unwavering obsession. After completing her formal registration at the record hall, Qin Yi suddenly stopped in her tracks and turned toward the letter tower. She took out her identity jade token and asked, "Excuse me, are there any letters for me?" A Qi refinement apprentice verified her token, then retrieved a bundle from a corner and responded, "Martial Ant, please check if any of these letters are yours." Qin Yi glanced at the sender's names on the letters, her gaze freezing slightly as she saw the stack of more than 10 letters. Her expression faltered for a moment. Her once stoic face showed a faint smile, followed by a bitter one, as she took the letters and left the letter tower. She quickly returned to her dust-covered cave mansion. Without even using the cleansing technique, she eagerly opened the letters with anticipation and read the contents. But as she read what was written inside, she froze completely, her face filled with utter bewilderment and disbelief. Misty Rain Market. Lu Chengsheng, Mountain Lord of Bihu, has fallen within the Tianyuan's secret realm. Am I now a widow even before entering his home? A woman of around 28 or 29 years old, dressed in a light blue gown with a delicate face, heard the news and revealed a somewhat peculiar expression. Previously, when the Sima family sent people to Misty Rain Market to demand accountability, she made a decisive decision to seek assistance from Bihu Mountain and agreed to their vassalage request, on the condition that the Mountain Lord of Bihu marry her as a concubine. But unexpectedly, before she could even officially join his household, this Lu Mountain Lord allegedly perished in the Tianyuan's secret realm. Elder sister, since that Lu ancestor has died in the Tianyuan's secret realm, the Sima family may use this opportunity to provoke and probe Bihu Mountain. Moreover, by allying with Bihu Mountain, we might become targets of the Sima family suppression. I will head to Bihu Mountain. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible.